Dr. Kia Preet, shining wisdom's light, teaching soul tribe how to see through the night. Ancient scriptures and bloodlines she knows, spreading truth wherever she goes. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. Through her channel, knowledge flows, breaking chains that hold us close, teaching paths to abundance and wealth, guiding others to free themselves. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. From currencies to investments divine, she's helping her tribe to realign with wisdom, ancient and new, showing what we all can do. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia lights the way to a new and brighter day.
All right, so tribe, welcome. Come on in, check in, let us know how you're doing. Let us know, family, where you're hailing from. I see so many of you checking in right now. Come on in the room, because today we're going to talk about wealth and how wealth is truly a mindset. We can experience any life we desire. It all starts, though, in the mind. Everything we experience, anything we desire to experience, actually starts in our mind. And what you can have and achieve actually is based on your concept of reality. It's based on what some people would say your belief, but I would say your perception. Life is all about how you perceive things. So come on in the room, family. I'm so glad to see you all here. People are still checking in. I hope you're having a great day so far and a great week. I'm excited about what we're going to talk about today, because this has been a life lesson for me. I don't think people realize that just because you speak about wealth, it doesn't mean that's been your reality all of your life. As a matter of fact, it wasn't my reality for most of my life. Just like most people, life was a little challenging. No, life was very challenging for me. So come on in the room, check in. I'm going to just wait for you all to come in the room. I've noticed that my viewer count is, for some reason, is dropping. And that's causing me some concern because I know people are watching. They tell me they're watching. I don't know if maybe the YouTube algorithms have changed or just maybe algorithms are changing, period, across social media. But I do know that many companies just don't have the money they used to have. So the way most creators make money on YouTube is through advertisement. Some ads or companies will look over what you're talking about, look over your channel, look over the title, and they will make a decision based on those things, whether or not they want to attach an ad to your video. And there are certain things that are trigger words that will generate ads, and then there are certain things that will decrease ads. As a matter of fact, what the young elder and I noticed when we did a show the other day is if you put my name in the title, he had put my name in the title, a conversation with Dr. Kia Pruitt, and it flagged his account. So apparently just mentioning my name could flag an account. So now I guess I understand why some of the, people don't put different titles, different words in their name, in their algorithms or in their title. But it's okay because we're going to keep going, family. It's my great pleasure to bring you information that will inspire you to create the most amazing, magnificent life that you desire and deserve. So I'm going to keep on doing that. I'm going to keep on. So come on in the room. I see you all hailing from different places. I'll do my best not to be too long today. I see, Nebraska's in the house. Hey, Brother Sherman, it's always good to see you. Grand Rising, Grand Rising. Brother Tony's in the house. Welcome. So keep checking in. We're going to talk about wealth and how wealth is a mindset. The reason I'm going to talk about this today is because we are moving into an era where we're going to experience a wealth transfer. This is why President Trump said the other day, in regards to some people that were committing healthcare fraud, that he had captured hundreds of them. And he said that there were people that were committing healthcare fraud that were here on fake medical visas and fake healthcare licenses. And when he captured about 455 in one of the rounds of the FBI raids, he said anybody that seeks to harm or cheat Americans will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. In fact, he said, if you seek to harm or cheat Americans, we will find you, freeze your assets, seize your assets, and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. He said that then. He said it on many other occasions as well. And as a matter of fact, Executive Order 138/18 is an order that he signed into law under his first administration, that anybody committing crimes against humanity would have their assets frozen. And he said not only would their assets be frozen, but those people would face military tribunals. Now you have an era where there are FBA raids that are occurring all across the globe. And I've talked about that on many occasions. Please look at my video called FBI Raids. And if I need to re-upload that video, I will. But you have FBI raids going on all across the globe. You can also look at a website called resignation.info. Sometimes I have to be careful about pulling up that website because I know that Facebook flags that, and they will tell me it's a violation of their standards to actually put that website up. But resignation.info shows, what is it? Prime ministers, presidents, CEOs of banks, corporate entities. It was a couple of social media owners and CEOs. It shows how that they were either arrested, forced to resign, or retired early. Resignation.info. The reason why that's important is because it hasn't been updated, but you will see tens of thousands of people who had their assets frozen. Now, a lot of people don't know why these companies went out of business or why these prime ministers went away or disappeared. But the reason for that is because they were committing crimes against humanity, whether it has something to do with healthcare fraud, practicing medicine on Americans unlawfully with fake degrees. It's why President Trump is attacking the whole H-1B status, because you had a lot of people here from abroad who bought fake medical degrees, licenses, and other certificates in order to practice on Americans here. It was their quick way to the country. And they were operating and working with nefarious people who were experimenting on Americans and taking our organs and doing all type of things. So you had President Trump going after the H-1B visa people here, but not just them, anybody practicing medicine unlawfully on Americans. Other means of attacking people who have committed crimes against humanity is occurring now as well, going through birthright citizenship trials or hearings where President Trump, and as a matter of fact, just the other day, asked the Supreme Court of the United States to rehear the birthright citizenship question because they ruled against President Donald Trump when he said there were people here that were delivering their babies so that their babies can gain access to our resources here. And the people who would deliver their babies here not only allowed their children to gain access to the resources here, but they also got access to the resources here. So the people that were coming here from abroad or from different countries would deliver their babies here and get Medicare, food stamps, welfare, housing, all type of medical benefits and other resources for those women and for their children, and then the children will automatically become United States citizens. Well, President Trump told the Supreme Court of the United States that attorneys were using the 14th Amendment to help them gives birthright citizenship status to the children that were born by foreign nationals. And he said that 14th Amendment was not for foreign nationals. The 14th Amendment was created after the Civil War for the children of African American slaves, and the attorneys who were using that 14th Amendment to solidify and justify allowing hundreds of thousands of people to come to America to deliver their children was actually unlawfully misinterpreting the law. And not only unlawfully, but intentionally misinterpreting the law. Hold on. So this is the reason why President Trump is asking the Supreme Court of the United States to rehear that case, because he knows that judges and attorneys were making decisions based on the 14th Amendment clause that was not meant for foreign nationals. It doesn't even make sense. Most countries, I don't think any country does that. President Trump said no country in the world does that, allow people to come from all over the world to deliver a child on their lands so that that child can get a passport, become a citizen, get rights or privileges to the country, and then their parents get benefits as well. So President Trump has said that anybody that is here that seeks to harm Americans or seeks to cheat Americans will be found. He said, we will find you, hunt you down, seize your assets, and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. A lot of people who have been utilizing our trust and our credits attached to our trust, utilizing your birth certificate bond, utilizing your social security number, they knew what they were doing. But even if they didn't know, ignorance of the law is no excuse. However, most people that are here that are doing nefarious things know exactly what they're doing because they knew the terms and conditions of their appearance in our country. There are terms and conditions that they signed and agreed to. Most people that are here are under some type of temporary status. Even those situations where they receive a green card, the green card does not guarantee you perpetual residence. Green cards can run out. They have an expiration date. DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, that whole thing where people would send their children here to America, that had a timestamp on it. It's deferred action for childhood arrivals, means it's just put off that you're going to be deported, but doesn't guarantee you're going to be here forever. And as a matter of fact, you can look it up in the paperwork. It says this is not a legal pathway to permanent residence. So people knew what they agreed to. They just thought they could get over and stay here. Whether it was the H-1B visa, where they got fake medical degrees, fake licenses, fake college degrees, period, or they just took the H-1B visa so they can get jobs here because they were recruited by these so-called American companies that are not American. Most of them are not even run by Americans. They're run by foreign nationals. So whether they were attracted by or recruited by the government or a corporate entity like a business, it doesn't matter. Many of them came here so that they can enrich themselves. And a lot of people that come to our country are not poor and destitute. Most of them come from something. So you have people coming on H-1B visas. You have people that came over here on F-1 visas. The international students came here to America to study. And once they studied and got their degrees, they would just fill out something called an I-20 and they would stay here perpetually. So they might study English. I said this before. And then they'll say, well, that's the reason why I came to America. But they then knew they can apply for an associate's degree, 2-year degree, then a bachelor's, then a second bachelor's, then a master's. Some of them will go on to get a PhD. Some of them would even go on to get a law degree. You can get a law degree in America and be undocumented, illegal, and unlawful. And then you have those that just filled out the I-20 visas, but they were taking classes, because there are always institutions that are willing to take your money. They don't care what nationality you are or what your legal status is. Whether they take that person's money or they take the government's money, it didn't matter. They would allow people to come here on the F-1 visa status and study, and those people would never leave. So now you have people on the F-1 status just to be an international student, tourism visas to just come and visit that overstayed, spousal visas that overstayed. You have people that come on H-1B visas and other work permits. You have those that were here on humanitarian visas that came under the Biden administration, the Haitis, Haitians, Cubans, Venezuelans, and Nicaraguans. So those came under the Biden administration between 2022 and 2024. Their work permit and humanitarian visa ran out in 2024, but they knew the play. They knew that the deep state, the people in power, the elite would allow people to come here, overstay their visa, and just apply for a green card while they remain here. They would just do what's called a change of status, even though their visas had expired. When President Trump came on, he said, too many people have been taking advantage of our system. So he said, now, if you want to do a change of status, you have to return to your country and do a change of status there, because people would come here, overstay their visa, apply for a change of status, and stay here, remain here, no matter how long it took, until they got that green card, and they would be allowed to work here while Americans are struggling to find jobs. Tell me what you think about that. So people would come and overstay their visa and then do a change of status, and then some of them would seek asylum. I've been listening to immigration attorneys, which is interesting. I used to follow the lead attorney, who is an immigration attorney, by the way, and he would spill the beans before he started reviewing content. Now that's the easy way out now for a lot of podcasters. Instead of doing this, discussing the news and studying and research, The move now is to just review content that's already been published. You can make good money that way. But the lead attorney talked about how most immigrants that came to America, he said, he went to Mexico and he practiced as an immigration attorney, and then he came back. He has cancer now. Now he's a podcaster, but he's a very popular YouTuber and he's very popular on Rumble. He's a brother. He said most people that came to America came here illegally. He said even the ones that say I'm legal now, I'm lawful. He said most people found a way to come here illegally, or their visas ran out if they came here legally or lawfully, and they just got married or just stayed undocumented and remained, and they were able to work. So he said, beware, even people that say I'm here legally don't tell you the story about how they got here or what they had to do, like seek asylum. They could lie on their paperwork when you sought asylum. If you're, once your paperwork ran out and your temporary visa ran out or your work permit ran out, and they could just say, I'm scared to go back home, or it's unsafe. We're having natural disasters, or we don't have good jobs. I even heard of a person saying, my house sits on a hill and I don't want to live on a hill and that's unsafe. And I'm like, but your country is full of hills. And so in some parts of America, but they could just give any excuse they wanted. And the attorneys who don't work for or with the government could interpret the law however they desire and allow people from abroad to remain on our lands. President Trump came back and said, not on my watch, because Americans are having a hard time finding a job. And we have a lot of veterans that are homeless now. In fact, if you watch my video on FBI raids, you'll see that the FBI raided entities, even government offices that were supposed to be helping veterans, but they were holding up veterans' money. They raided banks that were holding up veterans' resources and their benefits. People did not care. And I'll tell you why people that were over banks didn't care, because they're not American. They're foreign nationals that took banking jobs. They're foreign nationals that overstayed their visas, some of them didn't, that work in government. They did not have Americans' best interests at heart. Remember, I told you that many people that are here on H-1B visas take jobs in finances, banks, financial planners, mortgage and loan officers. So listen closely. If you don't know where people place themselves in terms of the H-1B visas in the workforce, you think of the word FEMA. They place themselves in finances, engineering, medicine, and architect. The H-1B visas were given mostly to Indians and Chinese, both of whom from the continent of Asia, And then you have, of course, people from other places, but we have 5.3 million East Indians here from the continent of Asia. 90,000 H-1B new people come into our country every year, plus their spouses, because their spouses are recruited along with them. So that's 90,000 H-1B visas, mostly from India and also from China. And then their husbands or their spouses, their wives, this is another 90,000. That's 180,000. We're just talking about the continent of Asia between the Chinese and the East Indians. 180,000 every single year, plus the 400,000 H-1B visa renewals. Those are the people that were recruited in finances, engineering, medicine, and architect. Finance control the money. They get to determine who gets the money, who gets the loan, who can use their credit, and who cannot. And guess what? If you're American, it probably wasn't you that was selected for the financial benefits that were afforded to you, not even veterans. They took jobs in engineering. That's the infrastructure of our whole country. The bridges, the roads, whether it's mechanical engineering, civil engineering, that's a lot of power. Medicine, they're controlling the health and well-being of Americans. Could this be the reason we have so many misdiagnoses amongst Americans yearly? And the most critical, vulnerable population are the people classified as Black or the African Americans who receive most of the misdiagnoses and mistreatment in America, on our soil, in our lands. What's going on? And then you have the architecture, those that are dealing with the homes or the buildings, building up the buildings. FEMA, finance, engineering, medicine, and architecture. And we told you about 2 weeks ago when Chief Mack and I came on the show that millions of fake medical degrees were sold into America. Millions. There's a channel called Blaze TV on YouTube that you should follow if you want to see how deep the fraud runs as it relates to H-1B visas and some of these visas whereby people from other countries, foreign nationals, were recruited to come to our great nation, take over the most important jobs. And now they're flooding into the entry-level jobs, service industry, factories, Amazon, restaurants. So now if you are just starting out as a family and you may not have a college degree, but you might want to work in the service industry, you have to compete with a foreign national. So Blaze TV has done a lot of research, but we've done it on Dr. Kia Pruitt's show, and there are people talking about it on YouTube. Even immigration attorneys are warning the immigrants that we've got to do something really fast because the Donald Trump administration is looking after the best interests of Americans and Americans first. It makes sense. So they're saying if you've done anything unlawfully, you filled out paperwork that is illegal, you've overstayed your visa, you got married fraudulently, you applied for VAWA, the Violence Against Women Act, erroneously, or you did that illegally just because you wanted to expedite the green card process. Maybe your spouse wasn't committing violence against you. If you've done anything illegally, attorneys are warning their clients to please pay attention to their paperwork and join a lawsuit. They're telling them join a lawsuit because now, and I reported on this the other day, attorneys have to report any suspicion of immigrants, both legal or illegal immigrants, to the government. So if they suspect or know of paper fraud, overstaying visas, overstaying work permits, or working with an unlawful work permit, using somebody else's license, driving without a license, any type of suspicious activity, criminal activity, whether it's a misdemeanor or a felony, the attorneys are now mandated by the government to report it to the government, and they cannot tell their clients. So the immigration clients are like, we can't tell you all if we suspect or know of any fraudulent activity. And basically they're telling them outright, we know the play, how it was. We could just doctor up the paperwork. We can't do that anymore. There's no more client attorney privilege. So people are panicking, and rightfully so. They've gotten away with taking advantage of the people that were in power, allowing them to overstay their time here and take up the resources from the American people. Now, I said before, some of them may have been here because they felt like they needed opportunities for themselves. It's just that the same paperwork that says that the government has discretion as to how long they can stay is this also the paperwork that says that these are the people in power who can determine when you have to leave. They're using their discretionary authority to say it's time for people to return back to their homelands because we have to be concerned about Americans first. Now, the good news is that every country has what I've talked about and I reported on the other day, sovereign wealth funds. Sovereign wealth funds are funds that are put into a trust for the nationals of that nation. In order to receive benefits from the sovereign wealth fund, nationals must be in country. They have to be a national of the country that has a sovereign wealth fund, and they have to be present. Two things, a national, and you have to be present. We went over a few days ago what sovereign wealth funds are, what they comprised of, what the trust looks like, and how each nation has them, and which nations have already employed sovereign wealth benefits to their people, like Qatar. They've been doing that forever. It's an oil rich nation, so they use the revenues from the oil to give the people in Qatar a certain amount of money, a certain allotment of money, plus benefits like health care, education, and other benefits. When President Trump came back into the presidency in 2025 in January, he said other nations have a sovereign wealth fund. We don't. So I'm going to create this sovereign wealth fund for the American people so that the American people can finally realize the wealth that they were guaranteed. The Constitution says we have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Where we're dying due to the medical industry, I hope I can say that, and all of the misdiagnoses. And also due to the food, but who was buying up the farmland? Foreign nationals like the CCP. Who else? Like the Ukrainian mafia. You can look that up. This is why the CCP's largest real estate company, Evergrande, was forced. Well, they filed bankruptcy in America like 2023, and then they was forced to liquidate their assets. They filed for bankruptcy. The Evergrande, the CCP, Chinese Communist Party real estate agency, the largest one, filed for bankruptcy here in America. They were forced to liquidate their assets, and many people actually defected from the CCP around 2023. And they had a big celebration in New York called Taidong. They were buying up the farmland and real estate. You wonder why we're sick? Foreign nationals, we're running our country and growing our food. Foreign nationals in the government, foreign nationals spraying the air. I mean, these aren't Americans. There may be some people posing as Americans, but they weren't Americans. As a matter of fact, we're going to talk about that at length on Friday with the young elder, because he's done extensive research on nobility and the Black nobility called The Hidden Hand. We're going to do a deep dive on the elite people that have controlled the world, making us fight against each other, having marital issues because people can't, don't make enough money to support their families, men and women fighting against each other because we're struggling for power, but mainly because we've been programmed by the deep state and the media and a political system to fight amongst each other. We've had programming like racism, white supremacy, sexism, religiosity, political debates, all of these programs to keep us fighting each other instead of realizing that there are people in power who are taking control of or had taken control of our mentality. Now we're getting back to the topic. If they can control your money, your health, your food, and your mental state, then basically they've got you fully under their control as their slave. On Friday, the young, the elder, please subscribe to his channel and make sure you're here 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to talk about how the nobility has worked very, very relentlessly to control our minds, so much so that now we are complicit in our own enslavement. We have agreed, even if it's tacit agreement, to our own entrapment, unbeknownst to us, because you have people in power that studied and tracked us, no matter what you look like or what part of the world you hail from. And as long as they can control our minds, they can control our life. So how do they control your mind? They control your mind through programming on the television, entertainment, music, television programs. That's what they literally call it. Print media like magazines, newspapers, social media, that's the newest thing. Political jargon and debates. They control your mind so that we can live in either perpetual fear, discomfort, or anxiety. Not only the words in the music and the words in the movies that we watch, but the vibrations, the frequencies, the hertz, what type of frequency lower your vibrations, or what type of frequencies cause panic. Even music in the church, if you hit a certain note, it can incite fear unbeknownst to you. I have musicians as sons, and my husband was a son, was a musician, God rest his soul. So the people in power perpetually and consistently ran programs in the entertainment industry and music and social media and the news, also with the war, etc. The vibrations of the food, the vibrations of the animals, even because they know how to lower their frequency. All this have kept many of us in perpetual anxiety, depression, or fear. And when that happens, we emit a psychic energy called loosh, Loosh. Those beings in power, many of whom we call the nobility, the black nobility, the hidden hand, the elite. The elite comes from the word Elohim. Okay, elites, the Elohim, the beings that are not human, that fail in their state. The Bible talks about the Nephilim, the sons of God that made it with the daughters of men, literally entities that are extraterrestrial beings that are not human, that made it with or great humanity, females. Why do you think even now today women are missing? Children go missing because these entities grape them. And they have children, human hybrids, that they then put in power. So the Elohim, all of them eat and absorb energy that we call loosh. So as long as they can keep us anxious, upset, afraid, worried, depressed, oppressed, then you have an energy that comes from your body. And you know, you can feel it because when somebody's depressed and they come around, you're like, oh, I don't want to be around that person because it brings down my energy. It literally drains your energy. Well, those beings eat off of that. They feed it. Now we're going to transition into a mindset. If the mind is programmed to be in perpetual fear, that will cause what we call a scarcity mentality. A scarcity mentality is a mentality or a mindset that says, I will always be a slave. I can never get out of this situation. Scarcity is not enough. It's not enough joy. It's not enough peace. It's not enough money. It's not enough resources. And the way they do this is they teach that a program that you're supposed to be perpetually poor. What is it? Blessed are the poor in spirit, so that for they shall see God. The meek shall inherit the earth, which is a good thing, but you're supposed to be meek and humble and feel bad about yourself. We know that the love of money is the root of all evil, but they will tell you money is the root of all evil. And any type of programming that can get you to absorb so that you could feel like you're not supposed to be wealthy. It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to inherit the kingdom of heaven. All of these programs, even in religion. More money, more problems, they'll have the rappers sing. Well, if you have an abundance mentality that's opposite of a scarcity mentality, it won't matter how much money or wealth you got. Not more money, more problems, more money, more responsibility, more money, more joy. How about that? More money, more happiness, more abundance, more peace. It all is all about the mind. They'll have us saying things like, it escaped me. Like, oh, I can do bad all by myself. Why can't you do good by yourself? Why can't we? Oh, how about I can do good with someone else? They'll have us saying things like, oh, I got to do this, instead of saying, I get to do something. They'll have us saying, I can't achieve, instead of us asking, how can I achieve? So it's all about the mindset. Wealth is a mindset. Everything that you will achieve and manifest in this new reality will happen because abundance is your birthright. Abundance is yours. Wealth is yours. Prosperity is yours. It is your birthright. It is what you were born to experience. That's why the Constitution, or whatever, what is it that says we are supposed to have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The Declaration of Independence, drafted by Thomas Jefferson in 1776, asserts that all individuals possess unalienable rights granted by the Creator, which include life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Granted by the Creator. Creator, creatress, doesn't matter how you say it. Every individual has rights granted by the Creator. Unalienable rights. These include life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and governments were established actually to protect those rights. But they haven't been protecting the rights. They've been infringing upon our rights. That's why the Supreme Court of the United States overturned the Chevron Doctrine on June 2024. Because they said the Chevron Doctrine had given the United States Incorporated too much power. And they had allowed 447 government agencies. Why do you need those many agencies to control your life? The Chevron Doctrine afforded 447 government agencies to create statutes, codes, and policies, as many as they wanted, to control the masses and infringe upon our rights, and then use their policy enforcers to force us to obey their rights, and then use the attorneys and judges to go on further to force us to obey the policies of the United States Incorporated, the fake government. But please know, understand that policy enforcers and attorneys and judges don't work for we the people. They work for the British Crown. These are foreign agencies, foreign people, these are foreign entities on our lands. They're not organic. They're not a part of the Republic, our lawful government, and many of them are not even American. Foreign nationals. Grand Rising. Sister Lori says, and they're getting entitlements when needy Americans don't even qualify. And we should, because many Americans are living in poverty. Feathers up, family. Thank you, Ian. Brother Ian. Greetings. Well, that time period is up. Sister Venus says, I love Chief Matt. Dr. Kia, thank you for bringing him on your show. You're welcome. Young Elder, Bella, Nine Keys, Billy Carson, Chief Mac, Orisha Stone, and all of them. God bless you all. You're welcome. The Sovereign Wealth Fund is a way for illegitimates to go back to their homelands, EMH Truther says. So the Sovereign Wealth Fund is comprised of stocks, bonds, real estate, oil, precious metals, rare earth minerals, revenues from tariffs and trade deals. All of these will be these funds, it will be a part of the Sovereign Wealth Fund, and that is put into a trust. President Trump in 2025 in January said, I've created a sovereign wealth fund comprised of all of these assets for the American people. They will be used for the infrastructure here in America, for humanitarian purposes, to help American people, and to make other investments in order to generate more revenue for the American people. That is something that President Trump did just last year. But other nations had them already. And the ones that didn't, they're creating sovereign wealth funds. If you join my private group, we talk about how other nations have sovereign wealth funds, how they are economically prepared for a currency revaluation, how they have gotten rid of corruption in their country, or they're systematically getting rid of their corruption from their nations right now. We're talking about how other countries are replacing politicians with people who have an economics and financing or entrepreneurial background, and how these people are creating economic policies that ensure that banking is transparent. They ensure that the money will be backed by precious metals and other resources. They're ensuring that entrepreneurs come back home to their homelands, and they will fund, these countries are saying that we will fund people to come back home and create businesses or bring their business from abroad back to our lands. Countries all over the world are saying that. And these countries, many of which you are invested in, are asking people to come and invest in our country, like Iraq, like Iran, Afghanistan, Venezuela, Vietnam, Zimbabwe, and other lands. I do extensive research following what's going on geopolitically, and give people the information in my private group so that they can use the resources that I have to further dive into the news, find out what's going on in those nations geopolitically, financially, etc. These countries are saying they're ready for people to invest in them. They're open for business, and they're ready for currency revaluations, and they're ready to make sure that everybody's on a level playing field. I don't know if you saw my video the other day, but I did a video called something about how countries are now on a level playing field, something about a level playing field, because President Trump said he was concerned about currency devaluations and had been for a long time. But in order to remedy that, he said, I have to make sure every nation is on a level playing field. In that video, I literally listed out how President Trump has already done it and is currently in the process of doing more in terms of making sure every country's on a level playing field. That includes ensuring that all countries have their gold repatriated back from the Vatican, making sure that trade deals have been secured between America and China. China's the world's second largest economy. That forced other nations to do trade deals with America when you see two powerhouses come together and make deals. President Trump did that when he first came back in 2025, and then he brokered trade deals with other nations in the Middle East in the amount of trillions of dollars. And he said, I will inject trillions into the global economy, but it must start home here in America first. Countries all over the world have agreed with President Trump to receive their people, to deport people who are not nationals of their lands, and receive their own back so that they can take care of them through the sovereign wealth funds and allow them to gain access to their trust that's attached to their birth certificate bonds. Nations all over the world have already said they're ready. I've done reports that said banks are ready for foreign currency exchanges. Another part of the plan to ensure to the person who said now the sovereign wealth fund is a way for people to go back to their homelands is the countries have stopped funding the United States and government, United States of American government, the U.S. Incorporated. The one that the Supreme Court said, you've been operating treasonously, unlawfully, unconstitutionally. And that doctrine, the Chevron doctrine that had allowed you to expand your powers is over. We reversed that. So now all 447 government agencies must be dismantled or at least modified. This is why we're under a partial government shutdown now. So what did the countries all over the world do? They said, we're going to stop buying treasury bonds. We're not buying America's debt anymore. These countries said they dropped the treasury bonds. That's huge. Because now America is not getting funds or money from these countries that bought up the treasury bonds. Countries all over the world have stopped buying treasury bonds. They've also agreed, 209 nations, to stop trading with the US dollar. Now, the United States Incorporated, who had financial and economic hegemony, has to collapse, and it's collapsing right now. That's why we're under a shutdown. This is why people are losing their jobs, because a lot of people were being sustained by the government. But it's not the government's job to take care of you. Going back to mentality, depending on somebody else to feed me is a slavery mentality. Thinking that it's the government's job to clothe me, tell me who I can and cannot marry, tell me how to take care and raise and teach my children, tell me how to divide my assets if my relationship doesn't work out. That's slavery. Tell me which ponds and lakes I can fish in. They tell me and control whether or not I have a license to fish on my own lands. That's called slavery. But a lot of us didn't know it. So we were agreeing to our own enslavement. Well, now that's over, because countries all over the world, thank you for the Cash App gift, have said, we're not buying up your treasury bonds. So the United States Incorporated, that had financial and economic hegemony, now have lost their power and their position as a world leader. I'm not saying America, the country, I'm saying the United States Incorporated have lost their seat as having financial and economic hegemony, being the world leader, superpower that they were. And what made the United States dollar the world reserve currency was the United States Incorporated having a relationship and an agreement with Saudi Arabia to protect the Saudi kingdom in exchange for oil from Saudi Arabia. And then they would force all nations to get oil only from Saudi Arabia, and they must use the United States dollar. Well, now that the countries all over the world that have agreed, we're not going to use the United States dollar for trade anymore. And they're making trade deals outside of Saudi Arabia in terms of where they get their oil from. In fact, Burkina Faso just made an agreement a couple months ago with Venezuela to get oil from Venezuela. And for those of you who hadn't joined my membership group, you don't know that the Venezuelan government said that President Donald Trump bought oil from Venezuela, and that they're using those revenues to revalue their Venezuelan bolivar. Now, mainstream media will tell you he stole oil from Venezuela. He's a thief. I'm telling you that the Venezuelan government reported that Trump bought oil from them, and they're using this is literally the language that they use, using the revenues to back their Venezuelan bolivar so that they can revalue. And it literally said we're going to revalue the Venezuelan bolivar against the US dollar. So what did he pay them with? It probably wasn't fiat if they're backing their bolivar to revalue the Venezuelan bolivar against the United States dollar. I'm only telling you, I'm the reporter. What they say, I'm the bearer. I'm reporting the news. And I showed the article in my membership group. So if you desire to hear more about what's going on all around the world geopolitically and how these countries have positioned themselves to become sovereign and are taking control of their lands and resources, they're kicking out the elites that were working with the United States Incorporated and taking control of their own nation and their own sovereignty. They've repatriated their gold back to themselves. They're securing and brokering trade deals and trade agreements. They're implementing economic policies to ensure that their countries thrive. If you're interested in information like that, especially if you're invested in these nations, then join a private group. And this is what it looks like. You can hit the join button on any of my videos, or just go to the YouTube channel, or here's the link in the chat. You join the group, you follow the prompts, and then you're in. But we have talked about how countries all over the world have said, we're ready, we're open for business. We talked about how many of these countries have asked people, invest in our stock market. We're invest in the fisheries, the farms, invest in our currency. As a matter of fact, April the 2nd, 2025, last year, Iraq positioned themselves as having the largest transportation hub in the Middle East, and some say in the world, where Iraq attached more than 66 countries to their transit system, so that now the transportation of goods and services, but mostly goods, will happen very effectively, very efficiently, very rapidly. When that happened on April the 2nd, 2025, that increased the demand for the Iraqi dinar. Then they made an announcement, we're going to have to get some of these dinars, off the street, because it increased the demand. People started buying up the Iraqi dinar just because Iraq positioned themselves as the transportation hub, the largest in the Middle East. So Iraq has positioned themselves not only as having the largest transportation hub or transit system there, but they're also positioning themselves to be the powerhouse and the gateway of wealth in the Middle East. Vietnam has done the same in Southeast Asia. That's why people that's a part of the Soul Tribe invested in the Vietnamese dong. We go into detail in the private group, so join the private group. Vietnam was doing well when the whole world was shut down during the global pandemic. While everybody else was shut down, their ports were open. Vietnam had secured deals with other Southeast Asian countries before 2020. So by 2020, they were still trading. As a matter of fact, a lot of the companies that fled from America to China because they could take advantage of the Chinese cheap labor, and they knew that they weren't going to be taxed because all these other presidents refused to tax China, and China, whenever people would import or companies would import goods from China to America, they weren't getting taxed. There were no tariffs on them. So American companies fled and went to China. Well, after the government shut down, or around that time when Trump was saying, no, China is going to pay us. If they're importing any of their goods to America, we're going to tax you, because when we import goods to China, we get taxed heavily, and we import our goods as Americans and American factories. For anywhere on the planet, we get taxed heavily. But for some reason, these people in power would not tax Chinese goods or any other goods, or they would put a very low tax on them. And that's not fair. And President Trump said, how is it that we're taxing the people? Before the internal revenue, you tax other nations, and that's how the governments would get money. Well, they stopped taxing other nations that were doing business with them and putting tariffs on them. They started turning on us and taxing we the people. Why? Because they're not Americans. They don't have your best interests at heart. They come on these lands, they have their babies get benefits. They also get benefits, and they move up the ranks, or they come over here on visas, tourism visas, work permits, humanitarian visas, H-1B visas, whatever. DACA, deferred action for childhood arrivals, international student visas, however they could. And they overstayed, and they got the resources, the benefits, the low interest bearing loans, the no interest bearing loans, the land stolen from we the people, we the Americans. They got all these benefits, and they moved up the ranks, positioned themselves in banking, finances, medicine, law, the courtrooms, and government. They don't have our best interests at heart. I don't care how benevolent they play, because if they did, they would have treated us better. But how can you expect them to when it's not their bloodline? Survival of the fittest has always been the deal. They don't care about hookup or crook. And the first law of nature is self-preservation. They were preserving their own selves with our resources and our wealth. All this has to stop. So a lot of countries that were importing their goods into America were doing it without taxation. When many American companies fled to China, then Trump said, look, come back home or we're going to tax you too, whether you're American or not. If you fled to China, we're going to tax you too. So come back home and we're going to tax you like we tax China. He said that under his first administration. When that happened and they saw that the shutdown was looming, American companies and Chinese companies and everybody else that was in China went to Vietnam. So by the time the shutdown happened in 2020, Vietnam was thriving. All those countries have fled there, most of them. And they can still have the Chinese tax numbers, the Chinese benefits, some American benefits while living in Vietnam and taking advantage of the cheap labor and taking advantage of all the trade deals that had occurred with Southeast Asian nations. We've been talking about this for a long time. So we'll go into detail more on a private group. If you're interested, make sure you join a private group because we do go into detail about all the things as it relates to geopolitics, global economics, and global financial news so that you can position yourself, because you can position yourself even with a little money. Now, when you allow people to flood your borders, when you bring in colonists to colonize the Americans, when you make your people, the American people, prisoners of war, and you infiltrate the airwaves and the skies with poison and the food with poison, and you lower the frequencies of the planet, the people are easier to control as they have become slaves. So their mind will tell them, I'm a slave, I cannot do better, people will always be in power, the New World Order always tricks us, the money system is against us, the people in power don't like us. All of the things that they've done have entrapped and enslaved our mind in such a way that not only have we become a tacit agreeer and participant, we become a participant in our enslavement, unbeknownst to us, but we also emit loosh and we perpetually live like we're slaves. We develop a scarcity mentality. Where on today, I'm going to challenge the mentality that they've programmed us with. I'm going to challenge it, and I'm going to ask us, if you haven't done it already, to do a massive paradigm shift, that your paradigm is your perspective, the lens through which you view the world. If your lens or the glasses that you have on is rosy, remember they talk about rose-colored glasses, if the lens is literally let's say pink or rosy, like these petals here. If the lens is this way, then the sun will be overshadowed with pink, right? The people will have a pink glare to them. The water will have a pink, everything will have this beautiful rosy glare, okay? Conversely, if the lens through which you see the world is a dark gray, grim lens, because the glasses that you have on, the lens that you have is grim, then no matter how sunny the sky is, it will have a gray overcast. No matter how beautiful and blue the water is, you will see a gray or shadow across the water. No matter how luminous somebody's skin is glowing from the sun or the melanin or the vitamins or the food that they eat. No matter how the skin glows, you will see a gray overcast, because that's the lens through which you see the entire world. That's your perspective. That's your paradigm. We're going to make sure that the paradigm that you have is a paradigm of abundance. The perspective that you have should be a perspective of abundance, because abundance is your birthright. We all have the right, thank you for the Cash App gift, the donation, to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Attached to that is abundance. But abundance and wealth doesn't have to be about money. It could be health, money, riches, luxury, foreign currency, stocks, bonds, real estate, well-being, time, freedom. All that could be what wealth is. But the lens through which you see the world has to be one in which you see abundance, you see beauty, you see wealth. Unfortunately, the beings in power have implemented programs so that we don't see necessarily everything through an abundance mentality. So on my channel, I speak a lot about family, wealth, legacy, but I'm going to focus today on wealth. What is wealth? Wealth is the abundance, that word, the abundance of valuable assets, such as money or material possessions that a person or organization or a country owns. But a lot of times people only see the abundance of assets, like physical assets, like financial assets. But there's a difference between financial wealth and personal wealth. Again, wealth is the abundance of valuable assets. It could be gold, silver, copper, palladium, precious metals, rare earth metals, whatever. Wealth is the abundance of valuable assets, money, or material possession that a person, an organization, or a country possesses. It can be financial, like what I just explained, but it can also be personal wealth. Financial definition of wealth in economics refers to things that have a monetary value, a monetary or exchange value that can be converted into a form used for transactions. That's financial wealth. But what's personal wealth? Personal wealth is nowadays and increasingly being defined by freedom. Freedom, having time. Your time can be considered wealth, right? That's why they have you working a job 40 hours a week. But in this new reality, work week will be shrunk to 20 hours per week. Or no working, you could work on, or you can create jobs, create businesses, or just create music and art. Because now the AI is taking over, AI will produce an abundance. You look it up. AI will produce an abundance of not jobs, but abundance of wealth, actually. Abundance of services. If AI is taking over technology, they can produce an abundance of whatever we need. And because AI is doing that, you have economists now saying people are going to have what's called universal high income that comes out of the sovereign wealth fund, like Qatar does. So personal wealth is measured not necessarily by finances or the amount of money you have, but it's also being defined by freedom. Not having to work a job, feeling trapped. We call working on a job, working on a plantation, because it literally feels like slavery. Wealth is now being defined by many people as having time, good health, and any type of discretionary means to enjoy life. We're entering into that era where we will have financial abundance, financial resources, an abundance of resources and money. But we're also entering that age where you will have personal wealth, such as freedom, time, sovereignty. Reign, sov means over, reign means rule and control. Sovereignty, you'll have reign, rule, and control over your own life. You'll have health, an abundance of health, good health. Yes, we're going to have med beds, but we'll also have herbs and those type of things. But it starts first by knowing abundance is your birthright. This is something that was granted by God. We read that earlier. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is granted by the Creator. You all will have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and access to it by any means necessary. The government is supposed to protect that. But if they do or don't, should not really matter, because that's our responsibility. So we had to first define wealth as being an abundance of valuable assets, money or material possession, or personal wealth being defined by freedom, having time, having good health, discretionary means. But in order to know that this is your birthright, you might have to tell yourself, abundance is my birthright. I was created to enjoy wealth. I was created to live long. There's a scripture that says that God wills for you to be, what does it say? Oh man, it escapes me. To prosper, to abound, prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. To prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. We were created as God, being God or creator, source, is having an experience through you and me on this plane, in this reality, and the experience that the creator, creators, creatrices desire for us to have and to realize is an experience of abundance, an experience of wealth. We were supposed to be in good health. We were supposed to be able to fly. We were supposed to be able to teleport, to regrow our limbs. In fact, if you study Dr. Jewel Pookrum talks about how we once could fly. We once could teleport. We could regrow our limbs. We could regrow our teeth, which are crystals in our mouth. We could manifest things with our mind, just like other extraterrestrial beings, but we haven't actually utilized those areas of our brain for a long time. And the thing is, yes, they did reduce our telomeres, the creators, and they mess with our DNA, and they use their advanced technology to disturb our frequencies, and they do all this, but they also create programs to put in our minds to make us think that we can't achieve wealth. They'll tell you you can't. They'll make you live in perpetual poverty, thinking there's no way out, but there is a way out. And I'm going to tell you how. It starts in the mind. You have to know that abundance is your birthright. You have to know that joy is your birthright. You have to know that love is your birthright. Freedom is your birthright. Peace is your birthright. Wealth. And what is abundance? It's a very large quantity, a very large quantity or an overflow, an overflowing supply of something, a very large quantity, an overflowing supply of anything, of wealth, of peace, of joy, of money, of resources. It is the state of knowing there's more than enough to go around. There's more than enough water. There's more than enough sun. There's more than enough joy. There's more than enough gold, silver, copper, palladium, platinum, rare earth, mint. There is more than enough. There's more than enough men. There's more than enough women for everybody to have a good life. Speaking of more than enough men, the people always, where are the good men? Women, I'm a woman, so women are. Join me tomorrow, 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to tell you where the men are. There are more than enough good men. There's more than enough good women. Social media will tell you that men and women are consistently fighting each other and there are no good women. There are no good men. No, you have to tell yourself there are more than, even if your mind fights against you, say it with your mouth. There's more. There's an abundance of good women. There's an abundance of an overflowing, great, abundant supply of good men. There's an abundance of wealth. There's an overflow, a surplus of wealth that is my birthright to experience. Remember, everything that you desire and everything you experience start in the mind based on your perception, how you perceive of you, a concept, a person, or an entity. You can choose to look at life through rose-colored glasses where you know there's enough of everything, there's an abundance, there's an overflow, or we can choose, life is about choices, to look at life through a perspective or a lens of a gray overcast. Now, the deep state, the elite, the people in power, the black nobility, the white nobility, the hidden hand, I don't know who they are, may tell you there's not enough. There'll always be a new world order. But I'm challenging that, and I'm telling you, there's more than enough wealth on this planet for all of us to enjoy. But you have to know it. And sometimes you have to say it to yourself over and over until you grasp that concept and it becomes a part of you. Speaking of where are the men, I'm going to have Timothy Pruitt on my show tomorrow, noon. He's going to answer that question, where are the men? I said there's more than enough. And he's going to talk about why men are crucial or critical to families and wealth. Timothy Pruitt. He has a master's degree in leadership studies. He has a bachelor's degree. He's worked for the state of California for many decades. He is a wealth ambassador. He is a husband, a father, a grandfather, and he takes care of his family, his posterity, his legacy, and his community, and he contributes to society. A very good, strong leader in the worldwide community, not just the so-called Black community, people want to focus on and divide communities sometimes, right? But just a leader who actually has a degree in leader and trained men to be leaders, providers, and protectors. He's going to be on the show tomorrow, which is Thursday, the 17th. It'll be, 17 number, July 17th. I'm sure we'll have some news coming out at 12 o'clock noon. So go ahead if you have the opportunity and like that video or get notified so you can watch it. It's going to be great tomorrow. Great. He was a leader of Northern California, largest male ministry, the leader, where he actually recruited, trained, and mentored men all over California to be fathers, husbands, and leaders, not just leaders in their home, leaders in the community, leaders in their corporation, leaders of their business. Remember, he has a master's in leadership studies, and he taught at St. Mary's College, from which he got his bachelor's and his master's degree. So this is, to me, the perfect man to talk about how there's an abundance of wealth and abundance of men and how the two tie together as it relates to family. So we're not going to leave the women out. But because I'm a woman, he's a man, you're going to have both feminine and masculine energy talking about the perspective in which you view the world shapes your life. The perspective in which you view men and women, female-male relationships, the perspective in which you view the relationship shapes the relationship. You first have to have an abundance mentality. So an abundance mentality is a mentality or a mindset that says there's more than enough. There's an overflow. There's an abundance of wealth. There's an abundance of resources. There is an abundance of great men. There's an abundance of great women. There's an abundance of great leaders. There's an abundance of great people. There's an abundance of great energy. There's an abundance of greatness. There's an overflow of joy waiting for you to embrace it and make it a part of your life. There's an abundance of love that's awaiting you and me. We have to know that. Some of you already do. You can continue to cultivate that. Make it grow by expressing gratitude. I'm grateful that I woke up. I'm grateful that I can breathe and I have activities of my limbs. I'm grateful. I'm so happy that I can see. I'm so happy that I'm experiencing this life. I'm so grateful for the food on my table. No matter what the food is, I'm grateful that I have food. I'm grateful that I have water. Give thanks. The more you give thanks and express gratitude, the happier you'll feel, the more joy you'll feel, and the more abundance will come into your life so you can express more gratitude. That's how it works. Wealth starts in the mind. It's a mindset. My desire is for everybody to experience an abundance of wealth and to exercise your right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So we talked about abundance and how abundance refers to a very large quantity and overflow. That's why they would tell you sometimes look at the cup. If the cup is like halfway mark, instead of saying the kind of negative side will be it's half empty. You could choose to say it's half empty, it's not enough. Or you can say it's half full. It changes your mind. It changes your perspective. It raises your vibrations or lowers it depending upon your perspective. I could do bad all by myself. Look at how that makes you feel. Bad is the operative word. By myself. Why not say I can do good? If I'm alone, I can do good. I can thrive by myself, or I can thrive with a companion. I can thrive in my community. I can thrive. I am thriving currently, even if your experience doesn't feel like you're thriving. Once you say it and you express gratitude for where you are, knowing that you're going to even do better, your situation will literally get better. Why? Because when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. That's true. Whenever you're ready in your mind to live an abundance mentality, to live an abundance reality, to have wealth, even if that wealth means freedom or good health, when you're ready, the universe will bow to your command. The moment you make up your mind, the moment I make up my mind, the universe conspires to assist you. That's another way of saying when a student is ready, the teacher will appear. Somebody will show up, but you have to be ready. I'm saying this because we're getting ready to enter into a reality of abundance where all of these people who were in power and who were in control, they're losing power and control. That's why you see people on the internet panicking. I don't want to go home. No, let me stay. No, I want to keep milking the system, but they have to go. And the ones that aren't loud, that's being arrested, they don't want to go either. But their time for controlling our reality, like the Truman Show, is over. The veil has been lifted. We can see clear. I can see clearly now. The rain is gone. We can see clearly. We're entering into a whole new reality where these beings in power, first of all, their places have been raided. Look at my video called FBI Raids. They're being arrested. They're going through military tribunals, some of which we watched in 2018 on c-vine.net. A lot of people didn't know that. We watch C-Vine. We watch military tribunals. We know what we're talking about. They're being arrested. Their assets are being frozen through Executive Order 13818. They're going through military tribunals. We're already under martial law. The military is in control. That's why President Donald Trump met with the military September 2025 before he shut down the government. And the first thing he said when he met with military generals all over the world was, looks like central casting to me. And he went on with his speech. Then he employed the National Guard and the military all over America, across America. They start cleaning up neighborhoods where there was gang violence, drug violence, and people were coming on social media, coming on television saying, thank you, President Trump. My children can go out and play. He didn't care. The National Guard was cleaning up domestic terrorism and terrorism that came from abroad, because you had militia, MS-13 gang members, drug cartel from all over the world that were here on these lands, taking over housing projects, real estate, neighborhoods, and flooding those neighborhoods with drugs, guns, and violence. And some of them were wearing, some of these police officers, because a lot of them are foreign nationals too. Check it, fact check me, clock it. They were wearing black masks or masks that look like black men and shooting up people in the neighborhood. Fact check me. We already know in Chicago, the brothers were reporting that they saw police officers literally dump drugs and guns in the neighborhood. Most of you, if you heard Chief Rod Hayes talk, or you hear anybody that's a male classified as a black man, will tell you that neighborhoods were infiltrated with MS-13 gang members, drug cartel from Venezuela, Mexico, South America, posing as Mexicans as well, or coming from all over the world, including the Middle East and Africa and the Caribbean, posing as Americans. Whether they pose as American drug dealers and gang bangers, or they work with the police office. Look at it right now and see how many foreign nationals work in the police department. A lot of them were infiltrating neighborhoods, and some of them were putting on masks, because we kept asking, how in Chicago were so many murders happening? How did Gary, Indiana, where Chief Mack comes from, become the murder capital of the world when we were growing up? How is that Louisville, Kentucky had a contract with the First 48, and there was always crime going on in the West End, the so-called Black community, all the time, every single day? We're walking over dead bodies every single day, and everybody in these tight communities know each other? And we start speculating they were police officers or people masquerading as Black men, putting on masks. I'm not saying that brothers weren't committing crime. I'm saying that a lot of it was infiltration. Now that's being cleaned up. President Donald Trump sent the National Guard in to clean it up. He said the National Guard, and while we're under martial law, whether we know it or not, we're under a military operation where the military is now in control. And they're ensuring that governments all over the world is clean. That's why you see leaders stepping down. That's why you see, that's why the prime minister of Iraq stepped down and they replaced him with an economist, somebody they're doing it all over the world. So they controlled our reality, but President Trump released the National Guard, and he's freezing assets, raiding places, seizing people, arresting them, putting them through military tribunals, including attorneys and judges. I've done videos on that. You can look it up. Attorneys literally are being arrested now, and judges. And the Brunson brothers won their case that they brought against Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Kamala Harris, and 385 members of Congress. I reported that when it happened. Actually, I think it was July. I don't know the date. 2022. I said, breaking news: Brunson won his case. Yada yada yada. And I had actually interviewed Lloyd Brunson, trumpet player, one of the Brunson brothers that. Thank you for watching. That sued the Biden administration, and he couldn't give us details as to whether they won or not. But I found out that they had won their case, and of course, it wasn't public. But I followed the case, and I noticed that a lot of the liberals that were sitting on the Supreme Court, a lot of those justices recused themselves from the case. They didn't want to hear the Brunson brother case against Nancy Pelosi, Kamala Harris, Biden, and 385 members of Congress, because they were complicit in the shenanigans and allowing election fraud and all type of frauds and activity. I mean, remember, they do pass the British accredited registry, the bar exam, which means they work for the British Crown. They're not constitutional judges. They're administrators, many of whom are administrators over our trusts, which is why they always drag these cases out. You know how we're supposed to have quick justice, supposed to speedy and rapid trial, but no. The antithesis of that actually happens, the opposite, where these trials drag, because each time they give you a date for a hearing, they take out they take out a bond, they wait till it matures, they pay themselves out, and then you can show up for court. And they just keep dragging out, keep doing the same thing. In the meantime, they're accessing your bonds and paying themselves out of the bonds while they have you going in court in the middle of a seance, or you can call it a funeral, which is why the judge has on the black robe, a funeral service, which is why he says, all rise when you go in the courtroom, funeral services. These people considered us dead, lost and dead at sea. That's why you have to have an attorney to attorney for you or speak on your behalf, because you're dead. In their eyes, you're lost at sea. You see how even if you don't literally know what's happening, your subconscious mind sees the black robe, hear them say, all rise. You stand up, you feel like you're in a seance, even the way the courtroom is orchestrated. You know they're dragging out court cases, even if you're going through a divorce, they drag it out for years. They keep you fighting against each other. You can feel their energy. But we're going to transmute that energy right now through our mentality by saying, I'm sovereign and I'm free. Somebody put in the chat, freedom now. Hashtag freedom now. I'm free. You have to know you're sovereign. You have to know you're free. You have to know you have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You have to know there's an abundance of everything that you need. And sometimes you have to speak it out of your mouth. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. My heart says, I'm full of love. There's enough love. There's an overflow of abundance. There's an overflow of joy. There's an overflow of freedom. We're all sovereign. It's in my soul. It's in my heart. It's in my mind, which is my heart. It's in my mentality. That's the lens through which I see the world. So I'm going to speak it. I'm free. Hashtag freedom now. I'm wealthy. I'm abundant. I'm full of life. I'm full of good health. When you know it, you will manifest it. You literally will live from that place, but it starts in the mind. So we command freedom. We command liberty. We command justice. We command restorative justice. We command wealth. You can command it with your mouth, or you can command it in the way that you live and walk about your day. You can command wealth by the way you dress. You can command it by the way you sit, by the way you speak, by the way you think. You can command whatever reality you desire. But it starts in the mind. That's why the scripture says, if I be lifted up, I will draw all men unto me. Now, people take that literally. That says the Christ saying, if I be lifted up on the cross, I will draw all men unto me. Men can be saved by me being, sacrificing my life. When the metaphysical interpretation of that is, if I be lifted up in my thoughts, I will draw a man, not men, manifestations unto me. If I be lifted up, I will draw. There was a song which is saying, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men unto me, all men unto me. Then we get all happy, we start clapping. If I be lifted up in my thoughts, if I be lifted up in my frequencies, I will draw all manifestations unto me. If I be lifted up in the perspective, the way in which I view the world, I will draw all manifestations unto me. That's what that means metaphysically. So it starts in the mind. We're moving into a wealth and a wealthy state, an abundance state. You're going to start seeing springs of water, pure, clean water, just spring up from the ground. I actually did a video on that on my old channel. You're going to see lakes and rivers, clean lakes and rivers, literally spring up from the ground. You're going to see lands that have been uncovered, that have been covered, spring up out of nowhere. You're going to see healthy food just spring up. You're going to see healthy, good people. And it's going to seem like they just appear out of nowhere, but it's because our perception is changing and our reality in which we're living is changing. They're all changing. Let's see if I can find that. So there was a video that I did years ago where I was like, there was a lake that sprung up in California out of nowhere. And I was so ecstatic. It was one of my first videos that I did. And I was like, wow, we've really entered into a new reality. But you have to know it exists. It starts in the mind. Tell me what you think about this in the chat. And you know why I can say this? Because on the outside, my reality was one of poverty. I was born to a mom. My mom was 15. She was teenage pregnancy. My dad was 17. So they were children. They were courting. They were going together. You know how we used to do going together? High school sweethearts. But can you imagine what the reality is? Born of two children. So that meant that their relationship didn't last. But I'm very grateful for both my parents. I love them dearly. My dad passed and transitioned in 2012. I got a picture of him right here. Hold on. But I was born of teenage parents. And when you're born of teenage parents, you know, their parents are upset because they're like, what were y'all doing? So sneaking around after high school, talking about y'all boyfriend, girlfriend, y'all done made a baby. Then they made two. While the parents are trying to work and survive. This is my daddy, David Roy Pruitt. Born of teenage parents, so that meant we didn't have a lot. My father lived on his own life, then he struggled with some health issues, made some life choices that I wish he hadn't made. So I had a father over there. Luckily, he had a mom and a dad who, in their young life, did well. They had businesses, they had a home. Thank God. When I spent time with my dad and my grandparents, they had a home, they had a marriage. We lived in a community that was doing, pretty well, comparatively speaking. Black folk that owned a home back in the 60s, 70s was a good thing, right? But my mom was a single mom and she had children. So single mothers typically live in government housing until she could find a job. I'm so proud of my mom because by the time I turned 16, she got her GED. Then she went on and she studied and she got college credits and she became a licensed LPN, licensed practicing nurse. Then she became an administrator. Then she just did so well supervising different nursing homes. She took them from 1-star to 5-star. And she was just like amazing. But she broke out of her shell. She said, I'm not going to stay poor. I literally grew up in the projects of Cleveland. Look up East 79th and Kinsman. Look up 30th and Central, Cleveland, Ohio. Poverty. It was so horrible back in those days that they started putting fences around the project apartments, government housing. So you literally felt like you were in a cage. So I grew up in a project apartment. My mother did the best she could with her children. I talk about in my book how, she joined a spiritual organization that taught us discipline, structure, how to eat to live, and how to thrive as human beings, and how to not allow the rhetoric that comes through the programming in the schools and the government to make you feel like you're a slave just because your skin is brown. This religious institution my mom joined really changed our lives. And my mom was always on a spiritual journey. Whenever she would evolve and go to different spiritual places, she would take from it whatever she could to enrich our lives. But we started off in the projects of Cleveland, Ohio. There were days that we did not eat food. But let me tell you something about Lolita Janie Johnson, my mama. She said, you will never say you're a slave. You will only say that you are a high achiever. My mom had high expectations. The higher the expectation, the higher the achievement. My mother set very high expectations. She said, it doesn't matter to me what everybody else gets. You will get A pluses. She said, some people can get C's and do all right, and they can thrive in the society in which we live. You will get A pluses. And guess what we did? Got A pluses. My mom said, you will learn to read before you go to school. We're living in the projects of Cleveland, no job, on welfare, getting food stamps, the limited amount of food stamps we could get, in a 2-bedroom apartment with 5 children, and I'm a single mom. My mother said, can't is not a word. When we said, but I can't, can is, you're not allowed to say can't. That taught me if you can't slip out of your mouth, I can't do it. Or you could not say, I don't know. Why'd you do this? I don't know. My mother was like, you know exactly why you did it. Because in this house, you will be accountable for your actions. If you said, I don't know, or I can't, you got severe punishment, discipline. We were not allowed to say can't. We could only say, I can, or ask, how can I? And you better achieve it. High expectations. You were never allowed to say, I don't know. You gave an account for every behavior that you found yourself doing, even as a small child. So I learned how to read before I went to school. I learned how to clean, wash, scrub. My mom said, you can live in the projects, but your place is going to be clean. We had to make sure everything was spotless. The floor, the baseboards, the walls, the ceiling, the dishes, everything. Before I was school age, and helped raise the smaller children. My mother didn't play. Born to a 15-year-old. She could have given up on life. She said, my children will achieve. She made us read newspaper articles. She bought dictionaries with the little money she had and said, you will study from A to Z. She bought encyclopedias, Encyclopedia Britannica, and there was another one in the projects of Cleveland with the little money she had. She found a way to manage it because she said, my children will be high achievers. And when people say you're too hard on them, she said, no, you will not tell me how to raise my children. My children will be high achievers. And I remember once she was dating a guy and said, oh, your daughter's going to end up in the projects and a single parent like you. My mom kicked him out faster than you can blink your eyes and said, you will never disrespect me or my child. My child will be a high achiever. We weren't allowed to say, I can't. We can only say, I can. We had to give an account for our behavior. We had to be immaculate. Everything around us had to be clean. We learned to eat to live, meaning we were vegans and at some point vegetarians or whatever we ate. Even when we ate meat at that time, it had to be clean, had to be prepared a certain way. It was all about conditioning and programming us to reach and live at a high level, even in the projects of Cleveland, Ohio, with crime going on all around us. During the era of racism, right after the civil rights era, I was born in 1968. We weren't allowed to call ourselves Black. You were Kia and Timothy and whatever else your name is. You were a high achiever because that's the expectation she set for us. And you had to give an account for your behavior. If she had us to write an essay for her, 5 years old, writing essays for my mom, she saw one mark. She would rip it up and say, do it over. I don't care if it was an eraser mark. It had to be perfect. When you sat in front of my mom or anywhere else, you sat with your back straight, your stomach tucked in, and your head up. You had to imagine there was a string pulled up, gathering every part of your body, pulling it up together. And that's the way we were to sit. We practice sitting, we practice walking like we had some sense. We practice speaking like we had sense. We weren't allowed to cuss. We weren't allowed to listen to low vibrational music. We weren't allowed to watch television. Because the higher the expectation, the higher the achievement. My mom said, you will not be programmed by television, low vibrational music, print media, or otherwise if it's negative. You will only watch positive shows. So one time she had a TV, we were only allowed to watch Sesame Street and the Electric Company. Educational thing through PBS, remember public broadcasting? And then she said, you know what? Yeah, I'm done with this. She cut the cord and tossed the television out. She said, I can teach my own children. 15. The higher the expectation, the higher the achievement. When other people were saying, oh, where they going to work when they graduate from high school? She said, graduate from high school? These children are going to college. They're going to get a college education. My mom had she dropped out in the 10th grade. I was raised in the projects, born of a mom who was on welfare and a dad who was living his own life, making bad choices. God rest his soul. So when I tell you it's about mentality, I'm telling you what I have lived and continue to live. I am an achiever. I am wealthy. I am abundant. My mother named me intentionally. My name is Kia. It means king, royalty, regal. In Persia, that's my name. In my Cherokee tongue, Kia means the foundation. Kia in Egyptian terminology was the beloved great wife, the second wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten, which, by the way, you know, Egypt is here in America. So I have an American name. It's Cherokee, it's Egyptian American. It means king, royalty, regal, the foundation, and is the name of Pharaoh Akhenaten's second wife, the great beloved wife, the one he really loved. So power is in the name, vibrations in the name. The name carries a vibration. You need to know your life path number. You know your life path number so that you can find out the trajectory of your life, because the people in power, the nobility, whether it's the black nobility, the white nobility, the hidden hand, whatever, it's really a black nobility, which are entities that control nobility or people that are in power. They're the ones they hold the puppet strings. Watch me on 6 o'clock with the young elder or my show talk about the nobility who holds the puppet strings. They follow you and map you by the stars. They knew you were coming in this world. They knew when you were coming. They prepared for you, whether you know it or not. So some of the things they have slated for us was negative. You have to transmute that energy, change the energy. And you can change the energy by knowing who you are. Know what your name is. Know what it means. Know your life path number. They map you by the side. Know when you came on this planet at a certain time, on a certain month, it has meaning. Your life path number also carries a vibration. Mine is 8. That's abundance, wealth, and prosperity, infinity, peace, power, resurrection, rebirth, all those high vibrational attributes, but mostly abundance. And infinity, the 8 on the side is infinity symbol. How do you calculate your life path number? You look at the month, the date, that you were born, and the year. You add up all those numbers, you'll typically get 2 numbers. You add up those last 2 numbers and you'll get 1. Then you look up life path number 8, life path number 3, life path number 5. If you were born November the 1st, 1961, you do 1 plus 1 is 2. That's 11, November. The first 1 plus 1 is 3, 1968, plus 1 is 4, plus 9 is 13, plus 6 is 19. And I think it's 27. You add them all up, it's 27. That you got two last 2 numbers. Now 2 plus 7 is 9. Look up life path number 9. That's the vibrational frequency of your energy. Another way to say that, it's the trajectory of your life that you should be on. It contributes to the purpose of your existence. Life path number 8 means I'm determined and was supposed to be wealthy and abundant, and I teach it. It makes sense now. Know your life path number. Know the meaning of your name. Be intentional about how you name your children. We used to have naming ceremonies. And back in the day, in tribal times, you didn't name your child right away unless the ancestors or your elders told you what to name it. But you allowed the child to live for a certain amount of time so you can study the attributes, the characteristics, and the personality of the child. And then you named her or him. Be intentional. Because abundance is your birthright. Wealth is your birthright. Luxury is your birthright. All these good health is your birthright. Long life, peace, prosperity, joy, love, companionship, healthy companionship. These are all your birthright. You are God in flesh having an amazing experience. That's what you were supposed to do. But these beings in power tried to shift your paradigm and make you see through a lens that they gave you. No more. We're speaking what we determine it should be. So abundance, a very large quantity, and very large amount, an overflowing supply of wealth, an overflow supply of anything. It denotes a state of having more than enough to meet one's needs. When I was going through college, they told us, oh, there are 7 billion people on the planet. There's not enough land, so everybody need to have 2.5 children. There's not enough resources. This is what they literally told us in college. So based on there's not being enough resources, in order to graduate from college, from Shawnee State University in Portsmouth, Ohio, all seniors had to write a paper of why we don't have enough resources and what we need to do since there's not enough. Scarcity mentality. They put that in us. And that was if you try to spin it and make it positive, you could pass, but they might give you a C or a D. So there's more than enough of everything that you need. You just have to lift up your thoughts. If I be lifted up, I will draw all men unto me. If I be lifted up, I will draw all manifestations unto me. Well, who do you think you are? I and the Father are one. Right? That's what the sages used to say. I and the Father are one. Some scripts say, ye are gods. Meaning you are literally divine, masculine and feminine, divine beings having this experience on this earth plane. Source is in you. That's the first law, universal law, the law of oneness. Everything comes from source, everything, every being, every entity, every plant, every animal comes from one source. The first universal law, the law of oneness. We're all one. We all come from source, and whenever we leave, that energy will return back to source. In fact, if you read Nos Confundum's books, like Terra Infinita and other of their books, they say there's a realm called the celestial realm outside of the earth plane. Behind the ice walls, you have the ancestral republic. These are people that live through many resets here on the earth plane. You know, they had many battles with nefarious entities or extraterrestrial beings, people, entities that were using advanced technology, some of whom had relationships and agreements with presidents to be able to take us and do experimentation on us in exchange for advanced technology and secrets, military secrets, whatever. So beyond the ice walls, you literally have the ancestral republic where many human beings escaped resets, escaped the floods, the deluge, the wars that been. We've had about 7 resets. Many of them left with the help of the giants and other beings, and they live in a place that's high vibrational, more high vibrational. They live longer, they eat better, etc. You have the ancestral republic. You have Pluto, Saturn, all those places they told us is in the sky. According to many books, they're actually on a plane. Extraterrestrial means outside of the earth plane that we know about, but still on the plane. You know, there's a dome over us. So a lot, when they say these planets are in the sky, that's just a reflection of what's on the earth plane. That's why they don't let you go beyond the ice walls. They don't want you to know Pluto, Plato, Saturn, the Ancestral Republic, and the celestial, the land of the celestial beings allegedly reside outside the earth plane. And a lot of these beings that enslave and entrap us here on this earth plane is really upset, because once we leave this body and the soul returns to source in the celestial realm, they can't get a hold of us. And they're trying to figure out, how is it that we come from source, have this experience, and then leave, and we just keep coming back and having, mastering lives over and over again. And then some of us just go on and return back to the celestial realm and live. They say it's high vibrational there. That's different from the Ancestral Republic, are the humans that fled, and they live longer. So some of them are still there. Some of them have returned. But the celestial realm is where the souls allegedly go. And they say if they have a body, it would be high vibrational. What do you call it when it's not carnal anymore? What's the name of the body we're supposed to be getting? I forget the name of the body we're supposed to be getting, even here in this reality. It's going to go from low vibrational and carnal to crystalline. If they do embody the soul, it's crystalline. But some say in the celestial realm, you can manifest with your mind. If you whatever you desire, children, you eat food, whatever the food would be, all is so high vibrational there. You don't even have to have a body. But if you did have one, it would be crystalline. That's what they say. My point is, you are gods. You are literally high vibrational beings, source in carnal flesh, or what people call a meat suit, having the experience that you determine you will have. You can completely reject society's laws for how you must behave. You can reject paying taxes. You can. They'll tell you paying taxes is a voluntary act. You can reject credit if you know how to get around it. But if you say, I want to play the credit game, in my video, just Dex Lattimore and The Economist came in a private group. I've done this publicly, but told people how to, if you decide to live in that credit system, how to work it. Because you are whatever you determine you are. You can be wealthy and abundant, even if you are so caught in debt. You just have to know how to play the credit game or get out of debt. Because the moment you make up your mind, the universe will conspire to assist you. The universe literally bows to your command once you realize who you are. If you don't have an abundance mentality, you'd have to do a paradigm shift. And the way you do that paradigm shift is by speaking and knowing, behaving like you are the God that you are. And then you express gratitude for what you have. And you change your verbiage from a scarcity vocabulary to an abundance vocabulary. Instead of saying, I can't, you ask, how can I? Instead of saying it's too much, you say, how can I afford it? Instead of saying it's cheap, you say, well, it's expensive. However, I'm asking myself how I can afford it. Instead of saying I can do bad all by myself, you say I'm thriving by myself, or I'm thriving with a person that's in my life. It's all about mindset. Abundance and wealth is a mindset. I'm sorry. I apologize for just going on and on. Thank you, Dr. Pruitt. Sovereign Wealth Fund is a way, yes, for people to go back. Sister Venus says, speak, Queen. Thank you. Right on. Hallelujah. Greetings. Abundantly gorgeous Queen. Yes, indeed you are. Thank you. New member. Hi. Hi, we got a new member. Welcome. Welcome. We're so happy to see you. What is that? EJ. It's Jade. Jade, thank you so much for being a new member. Welcome to the Soul Tribe. We'll make sure we take very good care of you and provide you with any information that you need. Our Soul Tribe members have access to me. We have a private email group where you have access to me. We do private meetings at least once a week on Saturday or Sunday, where we share information and intelligence on geopolitical and global financial news so that you can know how to accumulate wealth and protect your assets for your family. Okay. Now, we're talking about mindset. I've been talking about gold since 2014 when I was in Ghana. I saw people, the Chinese, they're mining gold. I ran across a book called Africa is China's Second Continent because the Chinese were there mining a lot of gold. I started talking about gold then, not realizing we were moving to the gold standard. I didn't realize that till 2017 when President Donald Trump said he wanted to nominate Dr. Judy Shelton to be over the Federal Reserve as the Fed chair. I researched Dr. Judy Shelton and realized that she is an economist and a gold bug, meaning that she recognizes gold as constitutional money. So I could see then that President Trump was going to the gold standard. Now, I knew there was something happening with gold again in 2014 when the Chinese were mining gold in Africa. And my families just started wondering what was going on and started doing research back in 2014. 2016, President Trump comes on. He says he wants to nominate Dr. Judy Shelton. He starts to make moves in ways that alerted me and let me see he was taking down the deep state or the people that had enslaved America and the country. He then started saying that maybe one day we will recognize gold again as money. And I was like, oh, he's moving. Then I studied and I saw that central banks all across the globe were accumulating gold at record numbers. You can look that up under Trump's first administration and all the way up through right now. Countries all over, central banks, that's part of the countries, they're accumulating gold. I was like, why would they be accumulating gold unless they're preparing for the gold standard? Then I noticed that back then, right before Trump's administration, I was like, they have something called gold aurum notes that each state have. They now call them gold backs. 24 karat gold pressed onto a note. At that time, before Trump came in, 13 states had legalized gold aurum notes, or also known as gold backs, as legal tender, which means even back then, before Trump came in 13 states, you could use silver and gold and those gold back notes to buy local goods and services. I was like, oh man, I'm on to something. So then I started studying what each state was doing. It went from 13 when I first started paying attention around 2014, all the way up through President Trump's first administration, 2016, 2017. Went from 13. As I began to study, it broadened. It became from 13 to 18 to 23 to 35 to such and such. And now we're at 45 states had repealed the sales tax from the sales of precious metals, meaning they removed the sales tax from precious metals, thus acknowledging silver and gold as money, because according to the Constitution for our republic, you can't tax money. I've been on for 2 hours. Why we only have 151 people watching when typically at this time it will be in the 500s or more is interesting. I think they must be doing something with the algorithms. Hit the like button, family. Thank you so much. I noticed then that there was a move towards gold, and then I started studying the banking industry. And I noticed under Trump's administration, they were talking about reversing or changing the Dodd-Frank Act. And the Dodd-Frank Act said that banks could literally steal your money. If the bank have any problems, you have money in the bank, they can make themselves whole by taking the money out of your bank. They call that a bank bail. No, that's a bail-in. First, they had a bank bailout where the government could bail them out if the banks got in trouble. But then they started doing the bank bail-in with the Dodd-Frank Act. But President Trump, he started shaping that or changing that, saying that they cannot steal your money. Because when we put money into the banks, we are the creditor. We're actually lending the money to the bank, and the bank can, by just tacit agreement again, the banks make a decision to do what they want. And if they find themselves in a peculiar situation and they're about to collapse, they can take your money. That was a bank bail-in. President Trump changed or reformed the Dodd-Frank Act to say that no longer can they steal your money. And at the same time, he said all banks had to become Basel III compliant, meaning all banks had to recognize gold as a tier 1 asset. Layman's terms, they had to recognize gold as money. Speed up to today, I've been reporting how banks all over the world said they're ready for a currency exchange. They have all Basel III compliant, meaning they have to have gold in their coffers and recognize gold as money, whereas a tier one asset. And the second part of that a lot of people don't know, banks have to also have foreign reserve assets, foreign currencies. And these two things, tier one and tier two assets, the foreign currencies and gold being money, now they would back up any currency that the United States Treasury Department under our lawful restored republic might mint out. But more importantly, the gold and the foreign currencies would be used to protect banks against any foreseeable or unforeseeable collapse. So this ensures the health of the bank and makes sure that these banks, which are now called wealth management centers, won't collapse, won't close, won't end. And they'll be able to not only stay afloat, because we need wealth management centers. We've entered the golden age. Everybody's going to have universal high income. That's just what we're calling it. It's the SARA benefits, where everybody will have a large amount of money from their sovereign wealth fund in their accounts in the amounts of tens of thousands, some say hundreds of thousands, in a non-interest bearing account, so that we can live, because we all have wealth on our lands. So now we have the sovereign wealth fund and other funds. Well, all of this wealth is supposed to be enjoyed by we the people, and it will be. I lost my train of thought. If somebody remembers what I was saying, please help me. Any comments on what happened to Mel? He just uploaded a video. I did call him. He was not well at the time, so he only texted me briefly, but I did notice that on his video, on his page, Mel Carmine announced that he was back, and that based on how he's feeling in the next coming days, he will determine if he's going to stay afloat as a podcaster. So I don't know. He got very sick suddenly, it looked like. So what was I talking about, family? So gold. According to the Constitution, the only thing that can be used to pay off debt is gold and silver. According to the Constitution, Article 1, Section 10, you can only use gold and silver, and the dollar is defined as the fixed weight of silver and the fixed weight of gold. So when I started studying gold and silver, I realized that we were returning to the gold standard. Well, I started talking about this, like gold, something's happening with gold and silver in 2014. I wasn't saying buying it. I was like, something's happening. But under President Trump's administration, I started studying. I was like, people wouldn't say it. I was like, we're moving to the gold standard. And I pointed to how Trump had leased part of one of his buildings to APMEX. And they paid him. Let's see, leased building to APMEX. They paid him in gold. APMEX is a gold company. Follow me now. This was 2011, way before Trump became the president. And when he did this, he said this is a precursor of something to come. President Trump did something in 2011. Listen, look at this. In 2011, Donald Trump leased the entire 50th floor of 40 Wall Street, the Trump building, in New York City to the precious metals dealer APMEX. In an unconventional move, APMEX paid the $167,000 security deposit using 3 bars of gold bullion. The 10-year commercial lease covered 10,000 square feet of office space. Trump accepted the gold as a symbolic gesture. They do everything in symbols, signs and symbols. As a symbolic gesture against the United States dollar. This was 2011. Trump accepted the gold as a symbolic gesture against the United States dollar and the economic policies of the Obama administration. According to reports detailing the transaction on Fox Business, the gold bars were brought to Trump Tower while the lease proceeded. In that article, President Trump said, this is the precursor of things to come. At that time, all this time I'm studying about gold, I'm studying about silver, how it's real lawful money, how that's the only thing you can use to pay off debt, how China's mining gold in Africa and Ghana, which is the Gold Coast. And they're mining gold so much on the continent. China's calling Africa their largest, their second continent. So then Trump comes on as the president, and I said, we need to start looking at silver and gold. You know what happened? They start taking away my channels. And I started reporting on each state that recognized silver and gold as money. And then I said, let's all get some silver and gold. I didn't have money in my pockets. I was on a very low income. In fact, I was on disability because I had gotten sick, couldn't work. That means I had a small amount of money, but I said, I need to ask myself, how can I? We're talking about President Trump's first administration. Before the gold commercials, before precious metals companies could say anything, because typically you had to just know that gold was money, and you had to send them an email and they would send it to you. Or you can order online, but there weren't commercials back then. Before Andy Schectman, the CEO of Miles Franklin's Precious Metals Company, was before I knew of him, because I did eventually I met him actually shortly thereafter during Trump's first administration through Chris Marcus of Arcadia Economics, and I became an affiliate with Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company. But even before that, I was like, this is why Chris Marcus said, you need to meet Andy Schectman. You have such an affinity for gold and silver. I didn't know why. I just been studying. By the way, if you're interested, call Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company at 952-929-7006 or send an email to info@milesfranklin.com and get you some gold and silver. Why? Silver is about $59 an ounce, whereas it had been $130 an ounce earlier this year. Gold is less than $5,000 an ounce, whereas it was $5,300 just the beginning in January this year. Let them know that Dr. Kia Pruitt referred you, or that you heard about gold and silver from the Dr. Kia Pruitt Show, so you can get the best prices. 952-929-7006 or send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. Why are you talking about gold and silver? Because we're moving to the gold standard. I tried to report this many, many times, and my channels got deleted. Like literally, I was making money. They had froze my assets. I didn't do any crimes against humanity or any nefarious activities. But back then, Trump was fighting the elite. They didn't want everyday people to know about gold and silver. And do you know, the people that listened bought silver for $10 an ounce, $11 an ounce, $14 an ounce. The people that were able to do so. Let's look at the gold and silver prices now. Dang. Gold is only 4,000. I mean, gold is, I know only, I don't have 4,000. Currently, I don't see it in my account. Let's say that. It's not part of my budget at this time. So when people would say to me, you think everybody's rich, everybody's wealthy, you're acting elitist, telling people to buy gold. I said, I can't do this. I said, instead of saying I can't, ask yourself, how can I? Gold was like $1,300 back then. It's $4,000 now. It had gone up to $5,300 earlier this year. Silver is down to $57. This is a buying opportunity. It had gone all the way up to $130 earlier this year. Here's the thing. Here's the play. Here's the trick. Abundance is your birthright. An abundant mentality means that your mindset is that there's an overflow of wealth. There's an overflow of joy, love, peace, health, wealth, whatever it is you need, healthy food. There's an overflow. There's an abundance. You have an abundance mentality, okay? A scarcity mentality says there's not enough, I can't. The people in power will never let me have gold and silver. The people in power will never let us have wealth. The people in power will perpetually be part of New World Order. The people in power, if they give you an income, it's going to be attached to New World Order. You have to take a chip. I've heard it all. Scarcity mentality is not enough. I can't. I won't. You just spewing rhetoric. I literally was born of a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old in the projects of Cleveland, Ohio. My mother never allowed me. I can only say I can and what I could do. And I had to give an account for all of my behavior. And I had to reach the high level of achievement that she set before me. The people that listened to me, because I said, please ask yourself, how can I? And so some people said, well, how can I? When I only have this amount of income or I don't have a job. And I said, you know what? There's something called gold RM notes. 24 karat gold pressed onto a note. If you don't have in your budget enough to afford, at that time it was like $1,100 $1,003 for a whole ounce of gold, get a half an ounce, a quarter of an ounce, a gram, and just do little by little, store little by little. And before you know it, you will have some gold. But then I said, okay, remember, abundance is your birthright. Wealth is your birthright. You are what you think. You have an abundance mentality. You know there's more than enough. If gold is not in your budget, the whole bullion ounce or a quarter of an ounce, half an ounce, an inglet, whatever you call it, a gram, get gold RM notes. They were called gold RM notes back then, gold backs. Back then, one gold back note was $1. Now a gold back note is about $8, $9. That's still good because a gold back note is 24 karat gold on a note that can be used to buy local goods and services right now today. It is recognized as legal tender, gold backs, in 45 states. 45 states have repealed or removed the taxes from the sales of precious metals. When you remove the taxes from precious metals, you're acknowledging gold and silver as money because the Constitution says you can't tax money. The nefarious people in power taxed gold and silver when they took us off gold and silver standard and said, oh, it's a relic. Gold and silver is just a collectible. It's outdated. We don't use it anymore. So they would tax it. That's unconstitutional and treasonous. That's why we're under a shutdown. The government, the incorporated bloodline families that usurped authority from we the people, stole our sovereignty, usurped our sovereignty, took our money, our gold and silver, taxed it, and created 447 government agencies so they can control us. They were ruled and determined as unlawful, unconstitutional, and treasonous. And any judge that went along with their rulings and their shenanigans, they committed treason. And any judge that knew of a judge that allowed this to happen and he didn't report it to the president committed misprision of treason. Thus saith the Supreme Court of the United States, June 2024. So instead of saying I can't, ask you, an abundance mentality says I can afford gold. It is in my budget. And then you ask yourself, how can I? And you know what happens? The universe will bow to your command. How can I? I will afford. I will get going. So the universe will literally bow to your command because you are God's. And you have an abundance mentality. You know, you've asked, how can I? When a student is ready, the teacher will appear. As I was saying way back under Trump's first administration, gold back notes, gold RM notes, gold backs are literally 24 karat gold that can be used right now to buy local goods and services. And we've taught this to our tribe. If you want to join a private group, please do. You can get gold back notes from APMEX, JM Bullion, SD Bullion, Money Metals, Golden State Mint. And my memory served me correct. Goldback.com. One gold back is $8. It was $1 when I first started talking about gold backs. Gold backs are a groundbreaking innovation and alternative currency. Using cutting-edge technology, we've made 24 karat gold practical for everyday transactions, putting purchasing power directly in your hands right now today. You can buy, and you can click on a link. It'll tell you where to buy the gold backs. You can click on this link. It'll tell you more about gold backs. Gold RM notes. Goldback.com launched their gold back notes in 2019. And since then, it's expanded to several states. But I've been reporting on gold since 2014. And the people with the scarcity mindset, some of them, unbeknownst to them, they didn't know they had a mindset of scarcity, of lack. I can't afford gold. You're preaching about gold. You're being elitist. You're selling hopium. And I would say, why can't you get a 24 karat gold note when it was $1 back then? It's $8 now. You want to hold gold? Something happens to your mindset and your frequencies when you hold precious metals, because it's not just precious because it's money. It's precious because these energies, these metals, the silver, the gold, it has a high vibrational frequency. It literally resonates with your being because we have silver and gold receptors in our brain. Your body responds to precious metals. That's why it's called precious. That's why the Anunnaki came to the plane. They needed gold, and they forced the beings that were on the planet to mine the gold to heal their atmosphere, according to the Sumerian text. It's precious metals for a reason. Instead of saying, I can't, ask yourself, how can I? You can get gold back notes. You can get an ounce, a half an ounce, a quarter of an ounce. You can get, what else? Grams. What about silver at $57 an ounce? You can get a half an ounce. You can get a quarter of an ounce. If you just get one, if every person gets 1 ounce of silver, we will collapse the banks. We will collapse the fiat, I would say the central bank fiat system is already being destroyed because countries have agreed to stop trading with the dollar, and they've dropped the treasury bonds. The dollar is also collapsing because it's lost its purchasing power through high inflation and all the printing from the Federal Reserve printing presses. But the same Supreme Court that overturned the Chevron doctrine and limited the powers of the government in June of 2024 also empowered the states the next month in July 2024 by saying state-sponsored banks can operate independently from the Federal Reserve central banking system and have their own charter and their own rules, and they can issue out their own gold-backed currencies. States have reclaimed their sovereignty. Reclaim yours. Having lawful money is a way to reclaim your sovereignty. You don't have to go through my affiliate. Go to your local coin shop. Google numismatics near me, coin shop near me. Develop a relationship with your coin shop. Listen, I actually literally taught my coin, the family that owns my coin shop they knew about gold and silver and precious metals because they typically get precious metal from estate sales, and they do have relationships with wholesale dealers. But when I kept saying we're moving to the gold standard, I was like, I'm not so sure about that. It's a hedge against inflation, and wealthy people may have some, but these are everyday people. Do you know that when they literally, I reported this in my private group, they got a message from the government that's saying that Florida was reclaiming gold and silver as money. You can look it up now. Florida is one of the states that have repealed or removed the state sales tax from precious metals, which means that we're part of that King's World article that says the world is rushing towards gold and silver as money. So they got not only an alert from the government, they got training. And they were taught, we're about to move to the gold and silver standard. Here are some articles and some research that we've done as the United States Treasury Department on how to use silver and gold as money again. So we're training you because you'll probably start getting gold backs. And they did. They bought gold backs, and people are going to move to the gold standard. I went and back after I had been doing business with them for a few years. They was like, come here. The owners, one of the family members. Remember you were talking about silver and gold and currencies? Did you know we got an announcement? And they literally came here and trained us on how people are going to be buying and selling with silver and gold. And they're going to use these new gold back notes. Look, come here. How did you know? I said, I did my research. I'm an investigative journalist. I named myself as an investigative journalist. I did my research. I had 8 channels, and all my social media outlets at some point or another have been shut down, censored. They froze never paid me the money that I earned, shut me down while I was talking about gold and silver. Meanwhile, podcasters that was talking about sex, drugs, rock and roll, and cussing and fighting between each other and having these wars between the men and women, they were allowed to enrich themselves. All the people that came here that were foreign nationals that were living off our land and our resources. But when I talk about silver and gold, or about the indigenous people being the rightful heirs of the lands and the resources here, or about the so-called Black people being indigenous people here, they remove my channels, or they censor me, or they flag me, or I can't get monetized. I wouldn't get monetized. They were like, now we know why. But you know what? I kept moving forward. I kept saying, God put me on this trajectory. I am God. I am the ambassador of wealth. My life path number is 8. My name means king. My name means royalty. I'm going to keep pressing forward. People would do readings on me and say, oh, somebody's casting spells on you. They're doing this type of magic. People are reporting your channel. Other podcasters are mad. They would tell me stuff, pivot, do something else. I would take a breath. I would relax, and I'll come back fighting harder and stronger, because this is my purpose, to raise the vibrations of the planet and to inspire you all over the world in the sound of my voice to live your most amazing, magnificent life that you desire and deserve. So the same company from which I was buying my my silver, because I wasn't buying gold back then, was the one that came to me and said they came to train us and told us that the whole world is hurtling back or rushing back towards gold as money. I caught this article when it came out in February 2023, and I reported on it. The world is rushing back towards gold as money. This article talks about how countries all over the world have accumulated gold in record numbers in their central banks, and how they're using this money, this gold and silver, to trade or have agreed to do it. In my private group, I talk about how they're using it to back their currencies. So even when I reported this about how Vladimir Putin was the trigger to get the world to use gold and silver as money, or to agree to it through an agreement called Project Sandman, people were like, well, the whole world is coalescing against America. I said, they're not coalescing or working or aspiring against America. They're coalescing against the United States Incorporated, the group of bloodline families that usurped authority from America and tried to usurp our sovereignty. They're coalescing against the Federal Reserve central banking system that's attached to the United States Incorporated, that has their own constitution of their corporation. We have a constitution for our lawful republic. We're America. We're a group of people, beings, bloodlines, whatever you want to call us, that are indigenous to these lands. And we have people that we have treaties with on these lands. They weren't conspiring against us. Meanwhile, you had benevolent. This is what I say. It's all about a mindset. People are like, oh, America's going to suffer. Oh, America's going to go under. Oh, the world is going to take over America. I said, no, America is a great nation. We were working to make America great again. Well, when has America ever been great? Scarcity mentality. Abundance mentality. America's great. Wherever you're from, my country is great. Somebody asks you, when has it ever been great? That might be somebody you can either tell that they need to do their research, or you might need to teach them or spend less time with them. When's America going to be great? America has a legacy of slavery. Well, there was an America before slavery, and even during slavery, people were doing wealthy. In fact, right after slavery, so-called Black people were doing 10 times better than they doing right now, 100 or so years after slavery. 150 or more years after slavery. People right after slavery were doing better right now. America was great then. America was great before slavery. America was great enough for the Europeans and the black so-called Black nobility, the Moors, to bring the slaves here, the European slaves here. It was great then. Great enough to make the so-called Black man prisoners of war here and be chattel property to pay off the debt. America was great enough for all these foreign people to come over here, these foreign nationals, and steal our resources and our landmass and steal our identity and call themselves American when they're not. America's always been great. And if it's not great to you, make it great. Perspective. Transmute the energy. Do a paradigm shift if you don't see it as great. Make it great. Make it what you desire for it to be. Say it's great. Be grateful for what you're grateful for and express the gratitude. I'm sorry. I'm looking for the article that says 45 states repealed taxes from the sales of precious metals. I think it's in my Gmail. I'm spending time on this because we're literally moving into an era of abundance and wealth. And I need you to know that you are abundant and what everything you need is within you. Remember, if I be lifted up in my thoughts and my frequencies, if I be lifted up, I will draw all manifestations unto me. I will draw all men unto me. Abundance is your birthright. You have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Abundance and overflow. There's more than enough. There's an overflow. There's a surplus of everything you need on this planet. Despite what they say, and you can afford whatever it is you desire to afford. There's always a ram in the bush. There's always a way out. Get gold Arum notes if you desire gold. If gold and silver are out of your budget, get copper. Copper is about $2 an ounce. Copper and silver were added to the United States Geological Survey's critical minerals list, meaning it's critical. We need it. We need copper and we need silver in advanced technology. And we're going to nuclear energy, nuclear things. You need copper and silver for on the med beds, for in the technology. Your catalytic converter right now has palladium in it. Palladium is more valuable than silver and gold. It costs more. You literally have wealth in your catalytic converter. You just didn't know it. You literally have silver in your phones. That's why now you see all over Walmart, they're saying, turn in your phone. We'll give you fiat dollars. We'll give you cash. Why do automobiles dealerships say, oh, just trade in your car, drag it, bring it, toss it. We don't care because your car has silver and palladium in it. Bring your refrigerator, your stove, your old washer and dryer. Oh, we'll throw it in a junkyard. It has silver in it. You're wealthy already. Your microwave oven, all your appliances have silver. So if you don't, if we all got, listen, you have some silver, you are wealthy. That's why we wore silver and gold. Not only does it represent wealth and money, but our body, it resonates with it. It's precious. Stones. I'm wearing one of my pieces right now from Orisha Stone. Subscribe to his channel. This is what the piece is Lapis Lazuli is for. It helps you speak well. It helps open up my throat chakra. Precious stones. But I also have one that he made with gold, copper, and other stones. I wear that one on very special occasions. My jeweler, precious stones, precious metals, get those because you are gods. You are kings and queens. But silver, you might want some silver. And what I would encourage you to do, if you're saying, I don't want to spend $59 for an ounce, get a half, get a quarter, get grams, or you can get constitutional silver. Constitutional silver has 90% silver in it. It is real silver, 90% silver, that coins that were minted before 1964. Real coins, real silver, 90% silver. Or you can get sterling silver. Sterling silver has 92% silver. The moment you make up your mind, the universe will conspire to assist you. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. If I be lifted up in my thoughts, I will draw all men unto me, or all manifestations unto me. You can get constitutional silver. You can get real silver bullion, sterling silverware. Where can I get that? Go to your local coin shop. Go to Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company for gold or silver bullion, 952-929-7006. Send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. Say Dr. Kia Pruitt told me about silver and gold, and you'll get the best prices in the industry. Hands down, A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. No customer complaints. In business for 4 decades. Andy Sheckman has been on my show. I'm going to invite him back now that my channels are thriving again, up and running. And been on many podcasts. He's thriving. Or go to your local coin shop. Put it in the comment section where people can go if they want desire precious metals or stones or artifacts. Go to antique shops, pawn shops. Yeah, literally they have it. Estate sales. There's always a way. Sell something that you don't need if you desire it. Or just start studying it and watch. Just start studying about wealth. Start reading books. You can go to the library and get The Millionaire Next Door. You can go to the library and get Think and Grow Rich for free. You can go to some bookstores or antique shops or pawn shops or those Goodwill and see those type of books. You can look online. If you're listening to me or understanding my voice, go to YouTube. Look for Think and Grow Rich. Soon you'll be able to look for Dr. Kia Pruitt's book that's about to be released on wealth, family wealth, and legacy. Go to a pawn shop, antique shop, local coin shop, estate sales, those yard sales where they're giving away certain things. A lot of times those things have silver and gold in it, copper. You know, doctors used to literally prescribe copper bracelets for people that had joint pain so that they can be cured from joint pain in their joints. So there's always a remedy. But you desire to buy something, but you feel like there's no way, your credit is bad, join a private group or call up a credit repair specialist. Dex Lattimore is an economist. He did an amazing job talking to us about how to boost your credit score for very little money. You can write letters to have negative items removed from your credit report. That will boost your credit score. He gave us credit tricks. He and I used to own a credit repair company. Just a few tricks, cost little to no money. If you are in the credit game and you desire to buy something, there's always a way, family. There's always a ram in the bush. You first have to know it and prepare for it. Knowing is part of the preparation. I'm wealthy. I'm an abundant person. I'm a God. We're gods. We're kings. We're queens. I have the life, liberty, and a pursuit of happiness. That is my right. Thank you. Silver Within. JM Bullion. Copper, silver, aluminum, gold. Thank you. Thank you, Dana. Dana says, tell it. I'm so glad that the gold is coming back and silver. Thank you, Sister LaMonica. Think negatively, and that's what you'll get. America has always been great. Thank you. Trump's speech tomorrow will we'll talk about elections. Ooh, FRAUD. Ooh, he might tell us that. Okay. Yes, this is live. Oh, thank you. Botanica says you are very much appreciated. Greatly appreciated. Thank you. Oh, yes. Mel and I are still on good terms. If you're talking about me. We've been knowing each other for years. Before all these podcasters came on, Mel and I have been putting in work. You've been purchasing gold back notes since last year. Great. Oh, Carla says, thank you for this speech, Doc. Appreciate you. Thank you. You're welcome. You really needed this reminder, spiritual girl. I'm so happy to hear that you're grateful. Do I think NESARA could be announced on September 11th? It could be because it was supposed to be announced in 2001 from the Pentagon. Botanica says I received my free gold back bill or note from APMEX that was included with my order. It was a promotional. Yes. Greetings. I love this for us. I love this. Jeffrey, I see you in the chat. We're talking about how abundance is our birthright and wealth is a mindset. Everything starts in the mind. Ooh, Sister LaMonica says, my name, Charisma, vibrations as well. Your name means charisma and high vibrations? Wow. Wow. They're burning up land in Canada. I'm wondering, are they burning the poisonous crops? That's a good point because they're burning up land here in Florida too. In fact, about 3 months ago, it was so bad, you could smell the smoke in your home. You could literally choke. They could be burning poisonous crops. Some people thought they were clearing land for data centers, but I choose to to see it as a good sign that they're actually cleaning up the place for us. Freedom now. I love that we are choosing. The gig is up. Hey, Chief Mac. I didn't know you were here. Greetings, Chief Mac. Life is about, no, adding charcoal to the land. Life is about living and experiencing abundance. Even if they had our vibrations lowered and they were trying to force us to experience lack, you have the power to transmute that energy, to change that energy by the way you think and the way you speak. Thank you for sending me gifts, family. Cash App, gifts, and donations. We got to start somewhere. Oh, Jeffrey, you always giving us the tea. Also invest in structured metals like iron, steel, or aluminum. Thank you. I'm getting all kind of texts, voicemail. What's this? Ah, I got cousins that are sharing my video that I'm doing tomorrow with Tim Pruitt. He's a master's in leadership studies, and he's developed men all over the place. He was a leader of the largest male ministry in California, and he taught leadership studies at St. Mary's College in California. He's a husband, a father, entrepreneur. On tomorrow, Timothy Pruitt will be on to talk about the importance of men in families and in homes. And, he's gotten many men together, and he's done a lot of research on male issues, things men struggle with, things men thrive in, and how to help them be productive husbands and fathers. That's tomorrow, which is Thursday, July 16th, 2026. It'll be at 12 noon. He worked for the state of California many decades. And, we're going to ask him, where are the men? He will speak to why men are critical to families and to wealth. I'm looking forward to that. So I'm getting messages. People are texting me saying they're sharing that video. It's something people want to know. Where are the men? They're here. Sometimes people don't see them because of where they live mentally and emotionally. Your perspective and your paradigm of how you view people in the world could shape who you choose to see. If you think there are only bad people around, that's you'll see bad. You'll see only the bad people, or you would choose to focus on the flaws in people. But if you know and tell yourself, and truly that becomes a part of your paradigm, your perspective, that people are good, that's what you'll see. If you're looking for a companion and you tell yourself there's an abundance of good men, there's abundance of healthy, good women, that's what you'll see. And even somebody struggling with an issue, you will choose to focus on the good. And the good will literally outshine anything that they need to work on. You also see who you are. So if people are around, if all you see is lack, scarcity, badness, it might be because your or our programming have only attracted that, or our programming only puts us in those predicaments and situations where we experience lack, poverty. When people think money is against God, I think poverty is a sin. It should be against God. So we're talking about abundance is your birthright. Abundance starts in the mind. It's a mind thing. Abundance is a mindset or paradigm rooted in the belief or the knowing that there's plenty of wealth, there's plenty of opportunity, there's plenty of love, joy, peace, whatever you need to go around. There's more than enough. There's a surplus. There's an abundance of land. There's an abundance of resources. When we talk about Nasara Dasara, high income, everybody getting a whole lot of money, accessing your trust, you being able to access your birth certificate bond, We talk about all the sovereign wealth fund going into your quantum accounts. Know that it's going to happen, because here's the thing. Even if they had planned for it not to happen, if a critical mass of us say it will happen, it will happen. We will literally experience that, because we will have commanded it to happen. That's how much power we have. That really, some people will say, oh, but that means they're going to make you do CBDCs. They're going to make you take a chip. Lack mentality, scarcity mindset. They might give you wealth, but they'll take it away. Scarcity mindset. I don't care if that was their plan. You say it's my wealth and I'm going to have it now. Hashtag freedom now in the comments section. You're free. You're sovereign. Transmute the energy. Do you know that I said we were moving to the gold standard before there was any talk about the gold standard movement online? I said the whole world will return to gold. I said America will thrive. And some of you did too. I said there will be no CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. And do you know, after I said it, states started to speak out against it and reject CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. I said it. I said Nasara will go into law. It's happening. When I speak, it happens. My wish, my desire is the universe's command. It bows literally to my word. Everything I desire to achieve in my life, I have. I told you I was born in the projects to a 15-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old male. 15-year-old woman and a 17-year-old male. My mom and dad. Born in the projects, raised in the projects. They built fences all around us. Crime was all around us. We were impoverished. We were on food stamps. My mother still taught us how to eat to live. You're going to eat fruits and vegetables and lots of it. She taught us that we were gods. We never watched slavery movies, Kunta Kinte, none of that. My mama always said, you will be a high achiever, because she set the bar high. The higher the expectation, family, the higher the achievement. You expect perfection and goodness and good health and prosperity and wealth. That's what you achieve. You expect the best out of your children. That's what you'll achieve. That's what they'll achieve. My mom never allowed us to say I can't. We can only say I can and I did. Don't tell me about what you're going to do. Tell me what you did. That's the way I was raised, born in the projects. My mom said, you'll be a high achiever. You'll go to college. People get online. They try to be disrespectful. Tell me what kind of PhD you have. Podcasters, what kind of PhD? She ain't got no degree. Just because you don't have one don't mean that I should be ashamed that I have 3. Excuse me, 4. Your degree don't mean nothing. Your education don't mean nothing. Why are you here? Obviously, it means something, because many people have enriched themselves and have done better for themselves, their bloodline, and their posterity based on the research that we've done using our college degrees and our business and educational acumen. Don't let people only respond to people or embrace people that respect you, love you, honor you, and celebrate you. That will vibrate, allow you to continue to vibrate at high frequencies. My mother said I would, and I did. I went through 2 master's degree programs and a doctorate degree. And have well, where do you got your PhD? And Google me. People act lazy, so disrespectful and lazy. The same energy that they use to type, they can type with Google me or get the same thing. We all are great and amazing, whether we have degrees or not. We have skills, we have gifts, we have we are entering into a life and a reality where you can maximize your ability and your skills and your gifts and thrive. Abundance mindset says that there's more than enough. There's plenty, that there's room for me. Your gift will make room for you. Read those type of things. I heard people say, I can't make money with my gift. Why can't you? When I started podcasting, I had a flip phone. A flip phone. I still only have I have an Android. I have to watch my speech. I choose to watch my speech. Instead of saying I have to or I got to, say I get to. I get to work. I get to spend time with my spouse. I get to spend time with my children, my grandchildren. I get to clean up. I get to. It changes your whole paradigm. I had a flip phone, living in an apartment over 10 years ago. No, about 10 years ago. On Social Security. Sharing whatever news I researched. And I grew from there because I knew abundance was my birthright. Anything negative came at me, I transmuted that energy by saying, I am great. I am a king. I'm royal. That's what my name means. I'm abundant. My mother doesn't have any slackers. My mother only have high achievers because that's what she expected. So it's your mindset. This is your birthright. And having said that, family, is my desire for you all to be wealthy. Remember, wealth isn't just about money and assets or physical assets. Wealth is the abundance of valuable assets, money or material possessions that a person, organization, or a company or country owns. There's a financial definition, and then there's a personal definition of wealth. In economics, wealth refers strictly to the things that have monetary value. But from a personal perspective, personal wealth can be measured in other ways, not just by what's in your bank account, how many precious metals, coins do you have, how many jewels. No. Personal wealth could very well be defined as freedom, sovereignty, having time, and abundance of time. If you desire freedom, that's it. Know that it exists. It's about more than knowing and believing. It's about employing certain behaviors. What can you do to be free? For me, wealth is freedom, you might say. Now that you say that and you know it and you speak it, start living it. As much as you can live freely, do it. Write it down what freedom looks like. Financial freedom, freedom of time, freedom to spend with your children, freedom to have rule and control of your own life. Speak it, know it, live like it, and then employ certain methods to ensure that that happens. Freedom is what wealth is. Wealth can be defined as freedom. Wealth can be defined as having more time. Wealth could be defined as health. Your health is your wealth. It's up to you or any discretionary means to enjoy life, wealth. That's your right. But how do you become wealthy if you don't feel it right now? You have to know that wealth and abundance are your birthright, and then you have an abundance mindset, an abundance mentality. An abundance mindset is a paradigm or a perspective, a way of thinking that's rooted in the knowing that there's more than enough. Rather than viewing life as a zero-sum game where another person wins, you lose, abundance paradigm fosters gratitude. It encourages collaboration, working together. It embraces continuous growth. That's what an abundance mentality is. Abundance mindset is a paradigm, a perspective, a way of thinking that's rooted in the belief, or I say the knowing that there's more than enough. There's plenty. There's a surplus of everything you need. You view life as win-win. You always look for the opportunity where everybody can win as much as possible. You're not operating from a scarcity mentality, which is the opposite of abundance, where you think there's not enough. I can never get ahead. We're going to continue to fight. Things are always going to stay grim. That's scarcity mentality. Scarcity means lack. People that have a scarcity mentality complain a lot. People that have an abundance mentality express gratitude, praise, joy. They encourage other people to win. They look for win-win solutions. Scarcity mentality look for lose, win, lose. You win, I lose. Or lose, lose. You lose and I lose. All about losing. There's not enough. I've spoken to those people. They comment on the channel. Oh, we're never going to. It's not going to happen. I've been waiting 11 years. I've been waiting. Well, instead of talking like that, I understand. I understand that. Look for opportunities where you don't have to wait, where you can actually thrive right now without the government assistance. When a student is ready, the teacher will appear. You have assets, you have a house, you desire to protect it, contact Chief Mac or go to an estate planner and protect it so nobody can sue you or tax you. Chief Mac should be in the comment section, unityemotion45@yahoo.com, or Google estate planner. You don't want to pay your taxes because you know it's voluntary, but they're threatening you. If they take your money, write a letter and then send a copy to the Treasury Department, U.S. Treasury Department. Demand your money back. We are in the middle of an economic or global financial crisis or financial influx or financial transition, however you want to term it. And I need my money back. Return my money. My son did that in 2020 when 2021, they took $10,000 to IRS and said they were going to pay an old student loan. I told him, write a letter to the IRS and a copy to the United States Treasury Department and demand your money back. He said, due to the fact that the world just experienced a global shutdown and a global pandemic play, I am not in a position where I can just give away my $10,000. I am experiencing an economic influx or something like that. You have 30 days, because I told him, give him 30 days to return my money. He said it was some harsh language. He's male, got a lot of masculine energy. Okay. I was trying to be nice. Within 30 days, all $10,000 was back. And guess what else happened? Shortly thereafter, the student loans disappear. See, the moment you make up your mind, the universe will conspire to assist you. So many people have told me when I said student loan debt will be wiped out, credit card debt, all bank loans, all car loans, all mortgages, loans will be wiped away through Nassara law, whatever you want to call it, freedom, prosperity, whatever. Now people are coming. First, people like, oh, you're a liar, lawyer. You only have you think you're something because you got a degree. What's your degree? And your degree means nothing. They went on whole campaign. But I stood my ground and said, we will be free. I'm free. I found a way to be out of debt and to thrive. Now people are saying, wow, my student loan debt got canceled or charged off, wiped away from my credit report, mortgages, car loan. You have to know it, anticipate it, and walk around with joy. I mean, attach joy to it. That situation right now, I'm free. I'm sovereign. There's more than enough. There's an abundance of wealth. There's an abundance of resources. There's abundance. And then ask yourself, how can I achieve this? How can I get out of debt? I showed you how to write the letter to delete and discharge negative items on your credit report. My son, Dex Lattimore, an economist, showed you how to boost your credit score. All you have to do is look at that pie chart, know how they calculate the credit score, and then attack it. But there's an easy way to do it. You have to know it can happen and have the will to do it, and then do it, implement, because faith without works is dead. You can believe and know something all day long, but until you actually walk like it's happening, talk like it's happening, and employ whatever tactics or whatever rules, whatever you have to do, methods to get it done, you might not realize it. So you will realize it because you know that abundance is your birthright, because you know you are gods and kings and queens. Here are the core principles of an abundance mentality. You know you have expansive opportunities. An abundance mentality operates on the assumption or the knowing that resources and possibilities are constantly expanding. An abundance mentality operates on the assumption or the knowing, I say, that resources and possibilities are constantly expanding. Genuine celebration. You don't feel threatened or anxiety or anxious or whatever, or like you always competing. Instead of feeling that way, individuals with an abundance mentality celebrates the success and achievement of others, not just their success and achievement, because you're coming from a place of gratitude. I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you. Because when you open up praise and celebratory energies for other people, that energy will come back to you. So a core principle of an abundance mentality, there are expansive opportunities. You operate from an assumption or a knowing that resources and possibilities are constantly expanding. You are an individual who celebrates the success and achievement of others. Instead of feeling threatened, you feel achievement, you celebrate. And thirdly, you have generosity and sharing as part of your principles. People with an abundance mindset are willing to freely share knowledge, time, and resources. What's the difference? What's the opposite or the antithesis of abundance? It's scarcity. A scarcity mindset is a concept whereby people are driven by fear or angst, and they think or fear or operate from a paradigm that there's not enough. A scarcity mindset will say that if somebody else wins, then that means you lose. An abundance mindset will thrive or operate from a paradigm of a win-win situation. There are enough opportunities for everybody. That's the view of success. Scarcity, if you win, I lose. Abundance, win-win. There are enough opportunities for us all to win. Therefore, I'm going to celebrate you. That's the view of success. What about when it comes to an emotional state? An emotional state, a person with a lack mentality or scarcity mentality operate from a place of anxiety, jealousy, fear, or loss. Whereas the person with an abundance mindset operates from hopefulness, resilience, and gratitude. Now, a scarcity mindset, whenever you hopeful, will say, you're selling hopium. Oh my God. You've been saying this for years. Scarcity, lack. That type of energy, I'm allergic to it. It doesn't jive with me. Emotional state, scarcity, anxiety, jealousy, fear, loss, lack, abundance, hopeful, resilience, grateful, thankful, gratitude. What is the focus of a person on scarcity mindset? Unfulfilled needs. They operate from, and they focus on what others have and what they don't have. Scarcity mindset. Abundance mindset focus on what you already have. And you think about, how can I add value to this, or how can I add to what I already have? So there's an attribute, scarcity versus abundance. Scarcity on one side is an attribute. Abundance mindset is another attribute. The view of success for the scarcity mindset, zero sum. If anyone else succeeds or wins, I will lose. The other side of that, abundance mindset, win-win, rather than zero sum, or rather than lose-lose. There are more than enough opportunities for everybody. What about the emotional state? The scarcity mindset operates from anxiety, jealousy, fear, or loss, whereas the abundance mindset, abundant state of mind, operates from hopefulness, resilience, and gratitude. What about your focus? If you're a scarcity mindset type person, you will focus on unfulfilled needs, what you don't have, what others have. Why can't I? I had to tell somebody the other day, if you keep looking for something to complain about, you'll find it. If you look for something to celebrate, you'll find it. Focus of the scarcity mindset operates on unfulfilled needs, what other people have and what you don't. Abundance mindset says, I'm already grateful. You focus on what you have and how to add value to that. That's where gratitude comes in, expressing I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I live near in a town with a beach. I live in Florida. I'm happy about that. I'm grateful. Where are you at in the world? Express gratitude. And here it is. I just wanted to share that with you. Abundance versus scarcity, because we're focusing on abundance, because abundance is our birthright. Wealth is your birthright. Everything you desire, luxury, riches, wealth, foreign currencies. If you look, you might say, people have asked me, how can I buy foreign currencies? Well, go to my private group study. We talk about foreign currencies and why countries are actually asking us, begging us. I should say they put out a call for us to invest in their stock market, which that's up to you. Foreign currencies, businesses, however, farmlands, whatever you desire. People will ask, how can I buy foreign currencies? Join the private group. We talk about that, but Chief Mack talks about it all the time. You could Google it online. If you want to know more about it, if you're ready, we'll teach you. My book talks about the 3 pillars of wealth, and we talk about different ways you can accumulate wealth and asset protection, how you Well, protect your wealth. And we go beyond that and we talk about family governance, how to rally your family around your value of wealth. So that's it, family. Now I'm here to answer questions. I said, I knew it was going to be a while, but I said to myself, try not to be more than 2 hours, but I have been. And obviously, I had a lot to say in me. It's just my desire for everybody to thrive. There's more than enough for us all to thrive. The whole world is hurtling back to gold as money is what the King World article says, but the whole world is positioned to have wealth. People with a scarcity mindset or people that are afraid or operate from fear because, they might have gotten a lot of privileges here and might have gotten a lot of benefits here. They might be afraid to go back home. But the good side of that is that you have sovereign wealth funds. You glean skills, money, resources, knowledge, information, all that while you were here in America. You literally can take all those. There's something called transferable skills. You may have worked in one industry here or acquired skills in one area here. You can transfer that to another discipline, another area in life, another country, another landmass, and make your country great or add to the value. Your country's already great. Add to the value in your country. Whether you live in America or abroad, we all have the opportunity. That's it, family. If you don't have a clear goal in life, you are destined to work for someone else who does. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you, Reverend Dr. I see you're in the house. Peace and blessings, King. Peace and blessings. Even our bodies have values according to the economic system. For instance, melanin is worth about $500 per gram. Melanin is worth more than gold. Melanin is literally, that's why they were captivating brown bodies. That's why abortion clinics are in the indigenous community classified as Black. That's why there's a lot of unalivings in our community and a lot of programming to get us to unalive and fight against each other. They want that melanin. That's why they're always taking our blood, DNA, having cesarean sections, cutting out women's ovaries and doing all type of things to your womb. They want that melanin. It's worth more than gold. The Bolivar is rising steadily, not rapidly. It's fluctuating, Jeffrey says. Thank you. You're welcome. Dana says, thank you, Miss Kia. With all due respect, are you aware of body area networks and how cryptocurrency will be based on human anatomy and electronic health? No. Crypto means death, right? Cryptic. Most people are call it now digital assets or digital coins, but I have not heard about it being based on human anatomy. No, I have not. I know the reality in which we're moving to now will be based on using gold, digital coins, digital assets, rather, gold, digital assets, precious metals, digital assets, and any currencies backed by precious metals, but I don't know much about cryptocurrencies. Yes, melanin. He said, that's awesome. Well, family, I've been on for 3 hours and 3 minutes. Ooh, I did not mean to do. It's been my pleasure to be here to serve you today and to inspire you, family. I know you already know your gods. You already know you are kings and queens. Let's continue to walk as the kings, queens, gods, and goddesses that we are. Let's have an abundance mentality. Let's foster and grow and cultivate an abundance mentality. How can you foster an abundance mentality? By expressing gratitude, by raising our vibrational frequencies, by aligning ourselves with high vibrational people, eating high vibrational foods, drinking clean water, being out in the sun, spending time doing what we enjoy and doing it as often as we can. That's how you cultivate your abundance mentality. Always express gratitude. Again, the moment we make up our minds, the universe conspires to assist us. If you have any questions, I'm here, family. Or anything you want to say, you desire to say. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I'll stay on a little longer. I trust that I've said something to raise your vibrations and inspire you to create the most amazing, magnificent life that you desire and deserve. Oops. Free from currencies. I try to realize. Remember to hit the like button, family. I appreciate that, Botanica. Thank you. He said, for this wise and beautiful sister, thank you. Much love and respect to you, King. You've purchased foreign currencies through Banknote World, and Chief Mac advised to buy from them. Go start collecting your currencies, Crystal says. We are doing all we can to make sure we all thrive. Would you ever do an in-person seminar in Atlanta or other states? You know, I would. I would love to do that. I didn't think I would, because you kind of exposed, and I used to speak publicly, like in churches as an ordained evangelist, and do symposiums for the medical school for which I work, but I would do that again. So try. Any questions, family? Okay. All right, Soul Tribe, I appreciate you. I love you so much. Please go out and have a great day. And for anybody that contributed, I know some of you, I'll just go ahead. Some of you were sending me gifts. Chief Mac sent me a gift. Thank you, Chief Mac, for sending me a donation. Oops. I appreciate you. So many of you show your gratitude, and I'm grateful for you expressing your gratitude through financial contribution and through your time. Okay. I apologize. Let me see. I'm getting some text messages as well. Any questions while we're still here? Thank you, Chief Mac, for sending me a donation. Who else? Thank you, Frank. God bless you. Creator bless you. Thank you, Sister Joyce, Brother Frank, Sister Elizabeth. I'm grateful for you. Sister Desi, thank you. Brother Edward, thank you. Sister Viola. Sister Valerie, thank you so much for sending me a Cash App gift. And Sister, I don't know if it's Sister or Brother Dana. Brother Neil. Dina, thank you, Sister Dina. Brother Kevin, thank you. And Sister Deborah, thank you. And Brother Cornelius, thank you so much for sending me a gift. Oh, Jeffrey says, I think Iraq is going to revalue soon. I have some more information about Iraq. We'll do a podcast in a private group on Saturday. Hey. You know, some countries already have universal high income. When it's coming to America, I'm not sure, but the way the economy is, where people are losing their jobs and government is laying off and AI taking over jobs, they have to compensate us for that. That's where they got the concept of universal high income. I don't know exactly when. I'm so ready though. Wait, okay. Black Troy says, if you could tell me if you can see my text, because I always got a flag beside it. I see your text here. I don't see a flag though. I can see you. For those wondering, Ashe. If those wondering what universal high income is, I did a video on it. But universal high income is an economic concept that's popularized by tech leaders like Elon Musk, but they've already had that concept. If proposed, if actually it pushes forward, which we know is something, it will, whether it's called universal high income or not. It proposes an unconditional government issued cash dividend that goes far beyond just covering your basic needs. It ensures a comfortable, affluent lifestyle for all. Chief Mack has told us that we already noticed we have a trust, right? But he has told us we will have access to our trust. They're going to say it's coming from the government, but it's the government has held our funds. They're just going to release it. Universal high income is what this is. Unconditional government issued cash dividend that goes beyond just covering your basic needs. It ensures a comfortable, affluent lifestyle for all. The theory hinges on a future dominated by artificial intelligence and robotics, because proponents literally argue that these technologies will dramatically drive down the cost of goods and services and lead to an age of extreme abundance. And let me show you this. I had to look it up. You know what made me look up universal high income? I kept telling people we're all going to get wealth. We're all going to get money. We're all going to be wealthy. It's going to go in a non-interest bearing account. I kept getting pushbacks. You don't know what you're talking about. That never happened before. I was like, first I said I was going to ignore it. But then I was like, no, let me use this energy that people are directing towards me to actually find it somewhere. Because I said, I spoke it, therefore it is. Even when people say it doesn't, I say, well, I spoke it. Who you think you are? I'm God. I don't think I know. I don't just think I know. I know. You know who you are. So here it is, a futuristic economic concept. Somebody might say, well, that's futuristic. Future people that are positive and have an abundance mindset are futuristic. We predict, we prophesy the future. We speak it. No matter what, we speak it. We stand on our principles and our laurels and say what will happen, and it does. It's an economic concept. You have to conceive of something in your mind before it happens. It's popularized by Elon Musk, who's a figure that they put in front of people to put a face to these things. It proposes unconditional government issued cash dividends. Somebody said to me, a couple people say, if it's government issued, it's nefarious. It's going to be attached to a chip. Well, you know, a lot of things are government issued. Yes, but it's actually coming from the sovereign wealth fund and your trust. And people in dynasties that have accumulated wealth for millennia. That's why I'm so adamant about you accumulating whatever is wealthy to you. Knowledge, wisdom, all that's wealth. Skills, creative abilities, all that's wealth. Hone it. Skill it, cultivate it. Cultivate these so that you can pass it down to your posterity and your future generations, the people in your community, the world. If your wealth is money, gold, silver, lands, if that's a part of your value system, accumulate not just for you and your bloodline, but in the event that beings try to come back and enslave the planet, because they prophesied themselves in the Bible that Satan have been enchained for 1,000 years. What happens after the 1,000 years? That's up to you and me. It doesn't have to be 1,000 years, but that's what they're prophesying. They're scripting out what they plan to do. Let you free for 1,000 years. Me free. What's going to happen after 1,000 years is up to you and me. If we hone our skills, gifts, and abilities right now, and we pass down those trades, those gifts, those skills, those creative abilities, if we accumulate wealth right now, and we put in our trust that a portion of this goes for humanity, no matter how 100 years from now, 1,000 years, we all will be a part of ensuring that the planet thrives. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I've spent a lot of your time. You shared your time, energy, and resources with me, and I am very grateful and very thankful. As Sister Venus says, we're going to call it quantum universal law. Absolutely. I trust that I've said something that raise your vibrations and inspire you to create the most amazing, magnificent life that you desire and deserve. Now go out and have a great day. Make it great. And if it's great already, make it greater. Peace. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow at 12 with Timothy Pruitt, who is a leader, or was a leader of California's largest male ministry, where he cultivated and mentored men and helped shape them to be thriving, productive daddies, fathers, and leaders in their community all over the world. He will answer the question too, where are the men and why do men value as it relates to families and wealth? I encourage all men and women to be a part of that discussion tomorrow, 12 noon Thursday, which is the 16th of July. I said it was the 7th, right? 2026, 12 noon. And then on Friday, we're going to have the young elder to come on my show to talk about the hidden hand, the people behind the scenes that have controlled our reality, and how you can continually break free from it and create the reality that you desire and deserve. I love you. Take care. Peace.